All right, you guys. Welcome back. Mr. Research doing a hangout. I know I don't do a lot of these things, man. But doing a hangout, we have one of the brothers, one of the young up and comers, getting in the game of life. King, introduce yourself to the people.
Well, it's King Sigma. I've been around the manosphere for about 8 months now. I kind of just free flow through different spots. I would say that my main niche is SYBM topics, things that relate to the individual black man using the tools that he's born with and utilizing the resources that are available in our society to improve his condition and his life. That's pretty much where I'm at. I'm really big into the self-improvement thing. That's where I'm at.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, one of my first questions, since you're on the SBS type size of things, why is it that more guys are not getting out of their state? I hear guys, every time I challenge guys on the constant bashing of black people, I say to them, why don't you move to Montana? And they tell me it's too expensive. Why are more guys not just going, just moving?
I think that's a very good question, because I was thinking about that too recently. I think a lot of men have a lot of fear, and in particular, black men. We are considered the most masculine men remaining in Western society by a lot of other people. And I think that we tend to let our ego get in the way, and we don't like to show emotion, and that holds us back in a lot of ways. You see a lot of it with the mental illness that impacts Black America and the reluctance to go seek help. That's, in the Black community, there's a lot of stigmatizing of just, reaching out for help or looking. They consider those to be moves of weakness, like I'm going to be stoic and I'm going to sit here in this environment, and this environment is going to change because I'm going to put down my roots and stay here, and it's going to change for me. Instead of sometimes you got to take your mackin on the road, as they say. You have to take your skill set somewhere else, because the fish might not be biting in this lake, but it might be biting another lake. Your personality may not be ideal for the environment that you're in, but you take your same self that you are, and you go to a different city, you go to a different state, you go to a different region, a different country, and you might find that you have like that cat in it, and that everyone's biting, everyone's loving you. But a lot of people are very comfortable. A lot of guys grow up in environments where none of their relatives really left the neighborhood or left the city, or maybe they went to like one other city in their life type of thing. So they're very comfortable. And it's normal, because comfort is good, but it's bad at the same time. So comfort, it seems good in the moment, but the problem with comfort is that if you're standing still, the world is always moving. You're always getting older, and opportunities aren't always going to be there. So I think a lot of it has to do with fear, man.
Now, that's true. I'm glad you mentioned comfort, because I've talked to several guys, and I find, this is just me personally, my whole goal is not to shame dudes, but to have them see themselves in the mirror sometimes. I find guys are comfortable. Actually, I find guys are sexually turned on with bashing females online.
Ooh.
But here's my question. But they have all of the reasonings you just displayed as to why they haven't made the move. So let me restate my question, because it's a difficult question, and you don't represent everybody. I'm just trying to understand. These guys are supposed to be logical, King Sigma. They're supposed to be mathematical. Yet it makes them bust a nut to bash females every week. But they don't have that same passion to go to their boss and say, I need to make more money. I need overtime so I can move to Wyoming, where all these snow bunnies are at.
Well, I think that you're digging into the Freudian type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's fair game, because there is that potential that people are redirecting sexual frustration, and it is because it's funny that you termed it like that. Because I was thinking that one of the things that I don't do anymore is that I'm very careful about the kind of hangouts I go on and the kind of content that I consume on YouTube, and I don't want to be no part of no sort of black hate porn type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want no parts of that because that's not
a minute. Black hate porn.
Because that's basically what you got when you get into this topic, because you got a lot of men and you got a lot of women. I mean, think about it from like with the females, they come to the black manosphere, right? You mentioned the fact that people are getting off on this type of shit, and it gotta be. It gotta
the nut.
Yeah, they gotta be true, because you know I've seen women say things like, "I got a husband, I got a man, blah 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 blah," but they spend part-time job hours on the manosphere arguing and bickering and going back and forth with men. And then these men, I have to ask the question, why are you so focused on these post-wall women who are in relationships, or if they're not in relationship, they show so much hatred and contempt for you, and you want to go back and forth with them? And when you use the term and you say that there's a sexual orgasm going on, I gotta believe that there's that possibility that's going on. Because if you, I was having a conversation with Reg, the bad guy, and we were talking about the fact that, you know, you mentioned how some of these cats are in one environment and they're complaining about the women there. We were talking about how, let's say you live in a community where the average girl looks like Serena Williams, a Jill Scott, a Tarana Burke, a Leslie Jones. So you're in this environment where 7 out of 10 women look like that, right? So you're talking about women that are 4s and less, 5s and less. But if you was to move somewhere like Santa Monica, where the average woman is like a 7.5 or above, then your whole experience in life would be different. Or if you were to jump on a plane and go to Addis Ababa and see some of the most beautiful brown-skinned women in the world, your whole experience and your whole motivation for living would change overnight. So I think that there is that whole like hate porn element going on. You know what I'm saying?
Let me give you an example. Mm-hmm. There was a guy, and I'm gonna speak on what you just spoke on, but there was a guy, one of Philco's friends.
Okay.
And this dude is about 5'4", mm-hmm. and he went to hang out with Philco in Russia. Mm-hmm. He was the most depressed black man hanging around every snow bunny possible. Mm-hmm. Because what he said was, they not on me. And Philco was like, well, you got to speak, man. You acting like you uncomfortable.
Well,
but I expected them to be on me. No, because this sets you up for the question I'm about to ask.
Go ahead.
When we talk about hate porn or getting turned on by talking hate 24/7, mm-hmm. my assessment is it does nothing to help blackness moving forward. You can hate a chick can hate a dude, mm-hmm. but keep that to yourself in your circle. Don't make that so public, because now people use that same conversation, and sometimes white folks who love black folks, and they use that like, well, I might as well hate them too because you hate them.
Yeah, so it's very dangerous. When you move into the hate porn element and you're making it for public consumption, you're definitely moving into a dangerous territory, because I see a lot of it happening on both sides, where you have these black women and you have black men who they go at each other all day long, and they put all these negative energy out there and negative talk, and people are consuming that. And it could be very right. We don't know what the long-term impact is going to be with this kind of public hatred being on display. We don't know.
Well, I know.
Yeah,
I know for what's going to happen.
Okay, go ahead. What's your assessment of it?
Most of the people who are doing it mm-hmm. are going to get older, and they're going to stop doing it. And most of the words are going to live on forever and be used on other platforms to generate hate.
That's a damn good assessment. That could definitely be the outcome of it. So that's one of the reasons why I've always avoided really getting into the denigrating thing. I can make a comment on something just based on a general statement or what I see, but I really, really try to stay far away from that hate porn stuff, man, because I don't need that in my life. I've always, you know, growing up in my family, I was always told that you have to be very careful about the kind of like ideologies that you put into your mind, the kind of things that you project onto your own consciousness, because you know when you think things, they become reality. And I know a lot.
Well, not only that, not only that, everybody got to be 67 one day.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is be holding on to your opinions at 55, 50, 47, 67, and you still mad.
And I think when you were kind of segueing into the whole MGTOW thing, and that's where they talk about with the red pill rage and you know these type of things. That
whoa! Don't jump over there yet.
Yeah, okay, go.
That point, but don't jump over there yet. Let's stick over here. Here's my question, just to kind of center you on this question that I have.
Yeah.
So, and again, I know you don't represent any faction. You just free flow.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the hate porn, what in your standing outside the house, just looking at the house for what it is, you don't feel no way about any of the people inside the house. But how do you feel about the people, male or female, who do this every week for 10 years?
I think that these are people that they're on a mission. You know what I'm saying? Like they're on a mission. Some of them, they feel like they're on a holy crusade, and others are on a kamikaze mission. And if you know about kamikazes, you know, they jumped in the plane and they knew they were going to die, but they didn't care because they had a mission to destroy something. Then there's the other ones who feel like they're fighting a holy crusade. They feel like it's holy, and whatever destruction comes, it doesn't matter because they are on a holy crusade and it's ordained by some kind of universal deity or whatnot. Kind of, it's very spiritual for them. Like it's very spiritual. It's like a holy crusade. And then you have the other side of the coin, the kamikazes, who they will destroy everything on their mission as well. So it's like two different ways, but one doesn't claim to have a holy crusade. The other one just says that I'm fighting for this mission. So
well, in actuality, most of the kamikaze, Japanese kamikaze, were samurai, and most of them did what they did out of the philosophy that they were doing it for their ancestors, right, and for the greatness of Japan. But go ahead.
So as for instance, like they were doing that because that was part of their culture. So think of it from like with these women that have this misandrous kind of mentality, they do it because they think that they're doing it for the black woman. You know what I'm saying? Like they're doing it for the honor of black women. So then you have some black men who, when they're going at the American black woman, they feel like it's like a holy crusade. Like they're doing something that's ordained and that they're right. So I think those are the main reasons why these people are doing it. So now what's the root of it? Well, now that's interesting because everyone has a different way that they got to that point. You see what I'm saying? So it's like if you're a man and you were in the example that I told you where you grew up in a community and the average woman looks like Leslie Jones, and that's all you ever thought you had to choose from, and you lived your prime in that situation, and you couldn't even knock a 5 or whatever, and you make it to like 40 by that time.
5 Leslie Jones.
Hell no. Leslie Jones ain't no 5. Leslie Jones like a 2. I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just talking about if you was to run across. I think about it like this, Mister. You live in the Bay Area, so you got it all. I had a babe that worked at Wells Fargo out there in San Francisco, and she was Persian. And I know all about NoCal. Like you got a choice. If you walking into a candy shop.
Oh, yeah.
You got white, mixed, black, Asian, anything you want out there. See, you feel like you in a candy store every day. You walk out your house. But if you're one of these cats that live in one of these urban areas and you're in the lower income and you're surrounded by nothing but the Leslie Jones and let's say, for example, a woman that's a legitimate Universal California 6 walkover, you would probably cut off your left arm to get her number. A lot of these dudes. You see what I'm saying? Because they keep themselves in an environment where they don't get access to feminine women, cooperative women, and good-looking women.
I agree. I agree. Let me interject just to share the mic with you. So in all my travels, I have seen where guys who normally get the 2s and the 5s, they are desperate for anything close to a 6.
Man, my God.
Whereas in a lot of us, myself, grew up around 10s and 11s, and will throw up on them for a loyal 2. Man. Now that's the difference between a lot of West Coast dudes. West Coast dudes from San Diego all the way up to Seattle.
And I lived in San Diego before, so I know the deal.
Yeah, you get a loyal 2. I mean, a loyal 2, especially a loyal 2 breaking half her check for you. Man, the hell with an 11. You gonna see those.
But see, a lot of cats don't. You know, it's some cats out here that don't even know that women will break bread with you. Do you know that?
That's what I'm saying.
Do you know that there's some cats out here that hold to a philosophy that in their mind ain't no way a woman would break bread with a man.
But you gotta have. But you and I know, King. You gotta have talent.
Yep.
To make her break that on a consistent basis. See, there's a difference between dudes that make accidental bread.
Yeah.
And dudes who make bread by their design. And a lot of dudes, especially, and you mentioned about the hangouts and whatever, and I'm proud of you by not letting your ears get saturated with a lot of nonsense. There's a lot of people on YouTube who are great on YouTube. In their life, not necessarily so.
Yeah, I asked that question the other day when I was on the other hangout. I said, I think there's 2 realities. There's the YouTube reality, and then there's the real world. See, in my real world, I'll give you an example. I wanted to get into Syracuse Law School because I had finished up. I did a semester at the University of Minnesota Law School, but it was so expensive, and I had started my home business while I was there, and my home business kind of started taking off last year, and I'm starting to make enough income, and I needed to find a part-time program that I can do as a distance program. Well, Thursday, I was one of the first students ever admitted to Syracuse Law Interactive Hybrid Law School program. Just
there you go, my man, my guy. Fucking yes.
So
I'm sorry.
So I think that people, like that's kind of the test that I get to a person. Like I look at a person's real world resume, and then what they're doing on YouTube, because I've come to understand that there's YouTubers that are like me, who just come on here. I treat YouTube like a digital barbershop, because like the way I would go into a barbershop and chop it up with brothers from the neighborhood, and then we might change knowledge, tell some stories, laugh, and then go our separate ways. That's how I treat it. I'm one of those. Versus there's some people that it's a part-time job. There's some people that are hobbyists, and then there's people that are trying to pursue a full-time job with YouTube. So I kind of always think about it from that perspective. Like, are these people doing this full-time? Are they doing it part-time? Are they hobbyists? Are they just here to be entertained? Or are they just treating it like a digital barbershop, which I do?
Okay. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, because you know what? Let me give you a point of reference. What if I were to say to you that, and I'm not going to mention names, because I don't get into that. What if I were to mention to you that there's a popular guy who's a janitor?
I wouldn't be that shocked, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Shocked, man, because like I said, I came to the conclusion that about 80% of the people that are in the Black manosphere, I would bet you that 80% of them have never knocked the universal 6 in their life. I guarantee you. I'd say 20% of the men in the Black manosphere have had 6 pluses and above. But for 80% of the people that come, these dudes couldn't knock a universal 6 if their life depended on it. So I'm always looking at it from the standpoint.
They can't even get bread out of a 3.
Yeah, so I always look at it from that standpoint, man. I just keep it a buck. I know the position that I'm coming to the manosphere on. I'm glad I discovered the manosphere, because it was opened me up to people that are Black people, that are Black men, that are thinking about things. And it's hard to find a concentration of Black men outside of like fraternal organizations that are on the same kind of thought patterns. So that's what is
that is true.
So that's the strong point about the manosphere. The weak part is when the more destructive elements are attracted to that light, because the people that are living in darkness are always trying to attract light. And that's what has happened over the last couple of months. Because like I said, I just came around in January, February, and I've seen it kind of go through different oscillations between the intense back and forth between the lower class black men and the upper class black men. Then it went through a phase where it's the females, the post-wall females, swirlers, and all that type of shit came around, and they was sucking the energy out. And now it's kind of like more of the dominant men mentality, the red pill men versus the blue pill men. So I've kind of seen just in a short amount of time it go through these oscillations, and I've heard people call it this stage of the black manosphere 2.0. So I'm more focused on the 3.0, where that's gonna be the people that actually can exist outside of YouTube, like you were talking about. So it's like when you talk about the real world versus the YouTube world, you'll know who is real world successful, because when YouTube kicks off everyone that has any kind of manosphere, soon these algorithms will be able to read MGTOW, SYBM.
Well, I'm gonna blow your mind on something.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had several channels,
mm-hmm.
and the ladies at YouTube have just terminated my channels for no reason. So I've had successful channels. One of my channels, just before the manosphere came to be,
mm-hmm.
popular YouTuber saw one of my videos saying, and I always try to give suggestions on a greater thing, but this is kind of how this manosphere thing came to be.
Mm-hmm.
I made a video where I said, hey, why don't person A, B, and C to get together? Why don't y'all work together? Why are we not building as men? Mm-hmm. And he made the video, hey, I saw that video and I came up with the idea of the manosphere. He didn't realize that the manosphere was already named by a white guy, but that's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got together with a couple other guys and then they formed it. Okay. My thing is, the only thing that came from that is more talking.
That's good that you say that, yeah.
And what should have happened is people should have started doing action-oriented things for the sake of what they created, which was the manosphere. Mm-hmm. The only person who seemed like they actually developed something was O'Shea.
Yeah, I saw that he has the Negro Manosphere. He has a commentary site, and I saw there's also Black Avenger, who he's doing something where he's trying to build like a format like YouTube over there. And then there's Dominique Mag, Baba Tune has Slaying Evil, and they're starting to build some things. But like you said, this should have been done years ago, because from what you're saying, this thing has been going on for a long time.
Right.
And see, I've made the mistake of not knowing that. I've made the mistake of thinking this is kind of something new. But as I've talked to older guys, they said it's not something that's new.
Let me tell you, I've been around since 2007. My very first channel was called Manhood Lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And what I will tell you is this is probably the 5th reincarnation of Black guys getting together.
Wow.
And what has happened is certain people, reality will hit and they'll go away. Certain people will feel like they make more money outside of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Other people, responsibilities, so people tend to fade away. I remember when Sergeant Willie P was not Sergeant Willie P. He was just Peter, a sophomore at college.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is a lot of people come and they come into this new power of getting attention.
That's so interesting that you just mentioned that, because I was talking to a cat and he said the same thing you just said about some guys, they get addicted to the attention because they never got it before. So
and the women.
Yeah, they finally get some attention, and for the first time they get addicted to that little bit of power. And someone said that the other night, same thing you just said.
All right. So let me blow your mind on this, because I asked you about the janitor guy. What if I told you that there was a popular guy, and I'm not kidding when I say this,
mm-hmm.
when he was 20, I believe, or 20 or 19, he raped a 13-year-old. And he would get on YouTube and make all these comments or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it got exposed that he had did a jail time for raping this 13-year-old,
mm-hmm.
all the guys who followed him made excuses for it.
And I see, and that's one of the reasons why I don't do cult of personality. And that's why I tell people it's clear that I'm on my own path, because I don't get into that cult of personality. I'm not looking for a messiah. I'm not looking for a leader. I'm looking for good information that exists outside the person. Because when you get into that hero worship, when you get into that cult of personality, you're setting yourself up for the exact situation. Because then you have to put yourself in a paradoxical corner where, okay, this person was saying these things and maybe you like the message, but then you got addicted to the personality, and now you're going to find yourself defending something that's indefensible, that's immoral, and that shows that you have no ethics. I would never defend someone caught up in a situation like that. I'm not making no excuses for that. You got to separate the message from the messenger. I've heard many guys, and that's how I know that's why I said it's 80%, because these dudes, they come to the Black Manosphere, they're looking for a hero. They're looking for
right.
That's not going to get you anywhere. I come to the Black Manosphere and YouTube in general, I'm looking for knowledge to improve my life. And now I treat it like
that's all you should be looking for. That's all any of us should be looking for. I've experienced a lot of things, but I'm still willing to listen to a millennial or Generation Z dude to give me some new information.
When you and the Gone were on the panel not too long ago with me, and we were talking about the generational thing, and you said something. You said, you can sit up here and complain about the failure of Gen X and baby boomers, but what are you going to leave? And I take that very serious, because that's what it's going to boil down to. So it's like the boomers are going to say this about Gen X. Gen X is going to say this about the millennial. The millennial is going to say this about that. But guess what? Ain't no one leaving shit behind of value. So everyone's failing. So obviously we need to go back to the drawing board and start over and just start building where we're at. So I kind of saw what O'Shea was doing. I saw what Black Avenger was doing. And I said, okay, for me, I'm going to leave something for other Black men. And what I want to do, I've been studying how to build a web forum where it's just strictly a forum, because I'm not interested in any kind of commentary. I'm not interested in doing videos, but I would like to have a web space that when Black men are kicked off of YouTube, that they can go and at least chat with other brothers, create profiles, exchange information. So I have Black men.
You want to reach out to a brother called Dark One's Son. He created one about 8 years ago. He had Reddit before it was Reddit.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Something like Reddit, because I have blackmanosphere.com. I got the website now, and I moved it over to a registry that protects freedom of speech, so I won't run into the issues that YouTube has, where the censorship and the flagging. I found the registry that is pro freedom of speech, and they take on the very politically incorrect sites. So what I'm going to build is something like a Reddit. The location will be blackmanosphere.com, so it's going to be easy to remember, because that's what they call this place, Black Manosphere. And you'll just and it'll be blackmanosphere.com, and it'll be like a Reddit type thing. That's a little long-term project that I'm working on, because you mentioned that, and I was like, you know what, Mr. Research is right, that at the end of the day, if you don't leave anything behind, then it's just going to be the same fucking thing when the
same shit.
when the Zennials come along in 5-10 years, because now we got the Zennials who are in like junior high now or something. When they come along, they will be saying that, well, the millennials didn't build shit, right? So it's like, if just individuals can leave just a little bit of breadcrumbs, a little bit of infrastructure, at least models that other people can build off of or innovate on, then we will start to slowly make progress. So that's kind of where I'm at with things. Like, I'm not getting into this negative conversations. I don't want to sit around talking about ABWs all day, because the ABWs I meet, like I told you, they're going to break bread with me. They're gonna fall into my narrative, or they're gonna get the fuck out. So I kind of feel sorry for a lot of these dudes, because it's obvious that the experience that they're having with these women is the worst kind of experience you could ever wish on someone. And they do need to pick up and move to another city. They do need to pick up and move to another state. They do.
And let me be clear. I do not say that they don't have a point.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that fucking monkey, that fucking bitch ass ape, fuck these nappy head black dark hoes. That sounds like the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, I ain't never got into that type of thing. No, I don't. Yeah. I that ain't for me. Like that.
I'm just saying, I hear that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it. I've heard cats use that language, and that's kind of surprising to me as well. But I'm always thinking from the standpoint, you do you, because you're a grown man. I'm not gonna say what another man should do. But it's kind of like what I was saying about the porn thing, you know. I'm not one of these brothers that's gonna go around worshiping white people. See what I'm saying?
Oh no.
And I'm not one of these brothers that's gonna go around worshiping hoteps either. See, I look at it from the standpoint of what's practical and what's really tangible for me. So it's like the hotep person wants to be on some dick policing, and then the white worshiping guys, they want to believe. It's kind of like what you just said about a person being accused of rape, and then you're going to defend them. What you get with a lot of these so-called black right-winger guys, the white man can do no wrong, right? So they spit his talking points and all of these things, but what they don't know is that a lot of that shit that those white conservatives tell them, that don't apply to you. It may sound good. It may sound good on paper, and it may be true on paper, but they don't apply that shit in real life. You're being used. So then with the hotep guys, these are guys who they do all these socialist talking points, and they want you to join that program, but then 9 times out of 10 they get found out to be frauds. That they just
well, you know what? Let me just interject about that. So, and FYI, if you hit the camera on your phone, it'll put your icon up. But here's the thing with a lot of these hotep or conscious brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are broke.
Oh my God.
When you let me explain. When it comes time for a lot of these guys to rent out a location, most of the time Sonetta is the only one who's able to do it.
That's a damn shame.
And that within itself on a business level, for people who don't want to contribute to even getting the building where you're speaking, but want to be on the mic and want to take up 40% of the time on the mic, that's always going to create confusion. That's always going to create problems. And then when you say, like, even the people who use mayonnaise talking points, I'm a long-time conservative. I talked to some dudes who claim that they Republican. Okay, tell me about Edmund Burke. Who's that? My God, didn't you just say you're a conservative? And you have no idea of that, of which you claim? Man, well, tell me about being black first. Well, I feel black people need to. No, don't tell me what black people need to. I said black first.
Well,
so these are the problems that we have even before we get to the women. So I'm going to let you go ahead and finish up and say your thing, because now we're about to switch to the females. Go ahead.
Well, just like what you raised up about the Republican thing, one of the things I'll do, I'll ask brothers, I'll be like, have you ever heard of the Black and Tan Party? And they'd be like, who? And I'm like, those were the black Republicans during Reconstruction and during the Civil War, bro. Frederick Douglass was the head of the Black and Tan Party. They were a party within the Republican Party. They understood that the black man had his own interests within the interest of the general Republican Party. And they had what they called the Black and Tan Republicans, because a lot of what the Republicans, even though that they were talking about, didn't apply to the black man. Black men, we may agree with a lot of their. That's why I say I'm an independent with a capital I and a libertarian with a lowercase l, because I know the truth is that even though I may agree with a lot of the talking points, I know that a lot of that shit, when it push comes to shove, that doesn't apply to me. They will separate.
They will not follow through either.
Yeah, they will separate themselves from me. Kind of like with the whole thing with Reagan and him being the Reagan and the Republican Party of California being the ones that destroyed no-fault divorce. They're the one that passed the no-fault divorce stuff. A lot of these Republicans passed these rules, like for example, George Bush with the student loan thing. Up until 2005, you could file bankruptcy on your student loans. So it was George Bush that set America on the path to have this this debt bubble that's about to pop in another year or two with $2 trillion of student loan debt, that if it wouldn't have been for him and the Republicans and the Democrats that supported it as well, then you would have been able to discharge that in bankruptcy court. And now we have this problem that the purchasing power is locked up in so many of these credit bubbles that were created by these people. So I just know one thing, that a lot of guys, they put a label on themselves, but they don't do no reading. I guarantee you most of these cats, you can tell them 1,000 books in 1,000 days, and then check. And you can check back 2-3 years later, they would not have read one book off there. All they want to do is come and listen to cats beef, come listen to hate porn, and that's about it. They really get off on the shit, man. But they're not gonna read nothing that you recommend to them. They're not gonna read about the labels that they're putting on themselves. So that's why I don't take them seriously. Society doesn't take these people seriously. The only place that they can get a crown is on YouTube. Because in the real world, they're not gonna be able to sit down at a table with no real decision makers. I just did a deal with Walt Disney and got a nice little check for a web series that they're going to be launching in January. I own the intellectual property that they needed to launch their web series, and I made a nice little commission off that. I did a deal with their CMO. I didn't know nobody at Disney, but I had something that they wanted. See, it ain't about how big you are or how small you are. It's about, do you have something that's marketable on the job market or an asset that other people want that will bring them down to where you're at so that you can climb up.
Well, you know what? Now that you've done that, you should reach out to Coogler's boss, the brother that runs Marvel.
I haven't even heard about that guy.
Yeah, that's the reason Coogler had a job.
Yeah,
there's a brother that runs, huh?
Yeah, I hadn't even heard about it because see, I'm on the intellectual property side. My expertise.
Well, it don't matter. It don't matter. As long as you got some type of connect, you should try to reach out and get a 15-minute meeting with that guy. I mean, even if it takes you, even if it takes you 6 months to get it.
Yeah, I'll
see if you can get on his calendar.
I'll look into it because I
can't remember the brother. I know he wears glasses. I bumped into him one time.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I tried to talk to that guy because when Sean James here on YouTube, he's a comic guy. And I did try to reach out to him when they canceled Luke Cage. I actually tried to reach out to him on Twitter and DMing him and things like that when he got fired off that from Netflix, because he was the guy that was the in charge of that Luke Cage. And Luke Cage got canceled. And I did try to reach out to him because I was trying to connect him and Sean James, because Sean James does comics and things like that. But the Disney deal that I did, it's for an animated series that they're going to be launching on the web. And I had some trademark rights. They wanted my trademark.
I still think you personally should try to get 15 minutes with that guy at some point in time. Not for nobody else. I think you're smart enough to take a 15-minute meeting and finagle it into something a year later.
You know what? I'll definitely put that on my agenda to reach out to him again.
What and let me suggest to you how managers and CEOs work. You do one of two things. Hey, I know about you. I appreciate you. I just want 15 minutes of your time to soak up some of your knowledge. Or I got a great idea.
And I know I don't really have any comic
I would hit. Huh?
I said, yeah, I don't really have any comic ideas, but I definitely have I want to.
No. This is how I would approach him. If some way you're able to get to his secretary and get on the calendar, because really at this point all you need to know is his secretary's name,
right?
And you should be able to get that through your connects.
I can get his.
I would try to get on his calendar for 15 minutes. And if I'm able to get his ear, say, hey, I did a deal. I was trying to get to you, but there were so many roadblocks. See, this is how you sweeten his ear. This is how you sweeten his ear. I was trying to get to you, but there were so many roadblocks to get to your ear. I just wanted to make this connection with you now in the event that I come up with something else noteworthy.
I like that.
I got some type of connect to you.
I like that idea, brother. You just hit it on the head because you said that.
I'm always trying to help, King.
Because you just said that by networking, even though I don't have what he might want now, down the line, something may fall into my lap and there might be an opportunity. So, yeah, I'll definitely put that down as something to do going forward.
Because if you have something valuable that the other people wanted, see, if it had came through him, he could have got him a piece, and he knows that.
Oh, yeah, I was actually surprised when I got the email, man. Walt Disney's CMO contacted me, said that we would like to purchase one of your assets in your portfolio. And that was like, you don't understand what kind of sacrifices I made to start working in this kind of home business. Like I made a lot of financial sacrifices, and finally, I'm starting to see some benefits coming out of it. And it was like, man, it was like heaven just getting that email.
Well, I tell you, it's never about your first hip hop single. It's all about your junior album.
Explain that.
You can always make a hit in music.
Mm-hmm.
You can always make a hit on your first and ever. The first time you get on YouTube, you will start growing at a rate because you knew, and it ain't really you. Your second release, okay, you worked hard on it. You know, it kind of sounds like the first one. It's kind of what we expect. But by your third one, people either are checking for you or they disappointed.
Yeah.
And if they disappointed, your senior album won't do nothing what 1 and 2 did.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to make sure your junior album throws people for a curve.
I'm definitely attacking it from the angle where I'm kind of diversifying what I'm investing in, and I'm making sure that I'm very smart about how I reinvest my money, and just like, I'm not spending on things. Like my first year, I was kind of, it was my first year and I had to take my L's, but now it's like I'm more like a sniper now. So at first I had the shotgun. Now I'm really, really like a sniper with it, and I'm very,
Good job.
So keeping my expenses low.
It's better to be a marksman. It's better to be a marksman.
I'm not going out there tricking when I make a sale. Like when I made this sale, the only thing I went out and bought myself was a new Nautica winter jacket. That's it. The rest of it, I'm letting it sit in my bank account until the next week. Cause see, I think that America is sliding into a recession going into 2019.
Oh yes, we are.
So my thought is that I'm gonna just sit back. I ain't gonna be out there tricking. And if my prediction is right and we do fall into a recession, I'm gonna be there scooping up a whole lot of clearance fire sales for things that I need for my business, and just other things that I want that I know I'll be able to get at rock bottom basement prices. So I'm just kind of chill right now, bro. I'm more on the working on my.
Well, that's
body.
a good look.
Yeah, I'm working on my.
Let's get over to the females. Let's get over to the females because I want to maximize your time with us.
Go ahead.
So here's the thing, as you kind of alluded to with the women, and I'm going to start with the women who claim they care about Black men because they're constantly talking about Black men. Don't you find it kind of odd they never speak about fighting the white woman?
Well, they want to be the what? They want to be the replacement. In their mind, they think they're going to be some kind of replacement for white women. I think that a lot of American Black women, they want to be the replacement for the American white woman. I think they admire her and they envy her, and they have this desire to be her. And I think it's really deep with them, man, really deep. Because
if that's the case, why spend so much time attacking the Black man?
The lowest hanging fruit.
Oh, okay.
Fruit. People tend to attack the lowest hanging fruit. People tend to bully those they see as weak. Because the reason that people get bullied is because they have not picked up a brick, like my grandma would have said, and hit that bully right in his damn face. So a lot of Black men are abused by these kind of American Black women, and they came up in environments. These kind of women that you're referring to are the same women that raised a lot of these Black dudes.
I'm glad you said that.
These are the same type of women that are the baby mothers of a lot of these guys. So these guys come from abusive homes, and that abuser has found her way to the male watering hole, and no one's checking these hoes on that. Me, I'm not getting on no panel with no Miss Andress. I'm just not. I'm not gonna even listen to no cats argue and bicker with women that have openly declared war on Black men image. That's one of the most disgusting kind of women that will go public in disrespecting Black men with ferocity, and then showing her fangs to the whole world with no fear, no shame. This is a woman that lacks dignity and class. I won't even entertain them with any kind of response.
This is what I always figured also. Why are Black men working so hard to help these same women get more attention? You have 3 or 4 top YouTube guys constantly making a way for these people to do X, Y, and Z. Now, I'll tell you why I think it is.
Yeah, what's that?
Some people have fallen in love with a YouTube check.
Yeah, that's
now. Yeah. It's hard for me to fall in love with a YouTube check when I make 1.5 more than YouTube is going to pay me.
Yes, sir.
So I don't see the point in me falling in love with a YouTube check. But I saw two YouTubers arguing 2 years ago, and I told one YouTuber, stop arguing with that dude. He's a barber whose greatest achievement is having a barber's chair.
Damn.
That dude needs a YouTube check. Very popular YouTuber.
Oh, I think what you're referring to is people's self-interest.
Yeah.
And see, that's where the question of what a person does on YouTube versus what a person does in real life. If someone is like a computer engineer in their real life and they've built digital platforms in their real life, and then they come on YouTube and they're contributing to the conversation, that's different than someone who is a bum in real life, but in YouTube they have like an alter ego and they're getting money off of it. So yeah, those things are very relevant because a lot of cats in their real life, they haven't achieved shit. It's just facts. I'm sorry.
And this goes and this goes to and I'm gonna dig to our MGTOW thing we're gonna get to in a minute. But this goes to the MGTOW thing. There's too many MGTOW guys that are inconsistent about their own message. Okay. Everybody got a different version. Level 12, level 53, level 2. And you talk to one guy, he calls it a movement. You talk to another guy, he said it's not a movement.
Right.
You talk to one guy, it's all about rage. You talk to another guy, he stays in a mobile home. It's weird. It's real weird. And when I point out to guys that 1700s Bachelor is what MGTOW is. It's against the system of marriage. There's nothing new that MGTOW has done than what the Playboys did under Hefner.
See, you're not being fair because
explain to me.
Because what you're doing is that you're challenging those guys to actually research the history of things that they refuse to do. Because like you just said, like you just said, not only was the Bachelor thing doing it in the 1700s, they had a Bachelor movement in the early 1900s. That's how we had the first Bachelor tax in America. When they had states, they had a spinster bubble back then. They had. How
dare you bring research and facts?
Right.
Go ahead.
When you start talking about the 1700s, you start talking about how this Bachelor movement is nothing new. It goes in cycles. You know, human social systems have not changed very much since we've been anatomically bipedal hominids. We go through cycles. So the Bachelor thing that we're going through right now is a direct result of the sexual revolution of the 60s, and it's peaking now. So the sexual revolution is peaking now with this fourth wave feminism and the misandry and all that, and the government creating all those policies that entitled these women to basically just run wild with no accountability. And this Bachelor movement that's coming about is just a response to that situation with women being empowered and having dictatorial powers over men and, you know, being like whores. So the Bachelor thing is nothing new. So what you were referring to, like the 1700s, and then we had the Bachelor tax movement in the early 1900s in America, where these women, when they had that period of feminism, their own version back then, and the men didn't want to marry them because they looked at them as whores. So the men started saying, what? These women are not wife material. They're only good for sex. So we would rather just be bachelors and just be playboys. And so what happened is that those women back then started these big protest movements to try to force these men to marry them, because what was happening is that the states, because they had smaller governments back then and they had less of a U.S. Treasury. I don't even think the U.S. Treasury existed. These women.
It did.
Okay, so they were becoming the wards of the state. So these women, as they got older and they were without husbands, they were a burden on their family, the community, and on the state, because they weren't contributing any kind of money, because the men were the ones that had the most money. So they wanted these men to marry these women, but the men refused. So they had bachelor clubs, and the bachelors with their resources and their knowledge fought back against the bachelor taxes, and they were ruled unconstitutional immediately.
Now, do you know what enticed them to do it?
Go ahead, Mr. Research.
Do you know what finally enticed the guys to do it?
What's that?
Earned income credit.
Oh, really? So when did the earned income credit take effect?
I will have to research that date. I forgot what the date was. But earned income credit is what led them to say, okay, as married people, you're going to get a special benefit and special tax loopholes.
Wow, so the earned income credit is that old?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know.
It wasn't until Ronald Reagan, in his stupid wisdom, in his first year in office, undid the earned income credit to let single parents have it, primarily single women, because of the same
single motherhood.
Yeah. And he as a Republican, because he used to be a Democrat. He as a Republican did in 2 years against the family and the Institute of Family. He did the crack cocaine. He did the 1986 welfare reform bill. Jimmy Carter said you got to be a 2-parent home to get welfare. He said, no, you got to be a 1-parent. He did the no-fault divorce, and he did the earned income credit for single mothers.
And what's your assessment of why do you think that he was doing this thing? Why?
Some people have a chaos theory. I can't say that that's what his was, but even as governor of California, he was all about chaos. He didn't do anything to benefit California. Which is why California started to turn blue, because under Reagan, he didn't do anything really to benefit California.
Do you have a theory of why you feel like he tried to create this chaos? What was the ultimate end goal in your?
I think what happens is, and I forgot how the theory goes, but it's an economic theory that when everything is going good, you create a war, you create chaos, so that way you'll be needed. It's kind of like I'm gonna have to read up. It's kind of like Hillary Clinton. It's kind of like Hillary Clinton. Her first 2 years as Secretary of State, she created 3 wars. When we didn't even need to.
You said
we didn't need to. Huh?
You said the goal is for the person that's creating this chaos so that they will be considered more valuable and needed.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna read up on the theory.
You think I got to get the actual quotes and timelines for you, because that's how I like to do it. But when you look at Clinton, there was nothing going on in Egypt. She created that problem. There was nothing going on in Libya other than he was controlling the gas, the oil for the gas. She created that problem. Notice how the people in Georgia, below Russia, because of their pipeline, wanted to be independent. She had no problem with Russia thwarting them, did she?
Because didn't Russia annex the Ukraine and Jordan?
Yeah, and she had no problem with that. But then she goes over to Syria, where ain't nothing happening, and tried to destabilize that. So her goal, I think, was as she comes into that presidency, she thought she was going to win. She gets to be the savior, but she'd be the savior of what she created.
So that, and they have a term for, they call it the Hegelian dialectic. The Hegelian dialectic is exactly what you described. It's when you create a problem and then you present the solution. That was your whole goal.
Right.
Yeah, they called it the Hegelian dialectic.
Okay, that's what it's called. I used to always call it chaos theory. Because
probably part of chaos theory as well. I haven't read up on chaos theory, but I will look into it. But I know that what you just described, the easiest way I've heard it described is Hegelian dialectic. When you create a problem and then you also have the solution already pre-prepared. But the public doesn't know that, though. The public doesn't know it. Go ahead, Mr. Reserve.
So it goes back to MGTOW for me, because we got some watchers, and I want to make sure they get the crust of the MGTOW stuff. It goes back to MGTOW for me, where there's so many inconsistencies, and it comes across as cavemen just beating their drum about insignificant once-a-month bleeding women. For me, as a wolf, I could care less about the some of the stuff the chicks do, because I understand the real power behind the chicks is Mitch McConnell. The real powers behind the chicks is Senator King. They're passing the laws for them. And if we really wanted this stuff to stop, we get rid of those people.
There you go. There you go. That's what I've been trying to get through to a lot of these guys, that you guys aren't trying to stop the policies. The best thing you can do is vote with your wallet, vote with your feet, and fight the policies that are empowering these women to do the things they're doing. But they're not doing it at a fast enough pace. And that's why when one of these post-wall chicks shows up, these dudes just get all like droopy-eyed, because really what they want is that validation. A lot of these guys that call themselves MGTOWs, that say they're going their own way, they're bullshitting. They're not committed to their ethical code or anything like that. Because all a woman, if a 6 was to give them attention, you ready to blue pill it up right away.
Right. That's my point. It's like I talked to a dude and he was stuck on this pump and dump thing. I said, dude, this is a Me Too environment, bro.
I don't do no pump and dump.
I would rather for you to go to a brothel, pay $100, $200 and get an Egyptian chick or a Polynesian chick or a Polish chick. It's too dangerous to be out here.
I'm so glad you brought that up, bro. I'm sitting back like I hear these cats saying it's pumping them, and I'm just pumping. I'm like, what? Pump and dump? That was never a smart strategy dealing with women, even before me. because if your intention is to
wait, King Sigma, you like, what part of the game is that?
Yeah. Because like I ain't never been about no shit like that, pump and dump. My mentality with women has always been that. See, the pump and dump mentality comes from men who all they value themselves is for their own dick. Like they don't value themselves as a man. Because if you on pump and dump, what that means is that you just trying to sleep with random chicks, but you don't want to pay for it. So it's like, okay, if all you want to do literally when it comes to women is fuck them, then they should do what you just said. You should go pay for it, because you don't have to worry about the legal dues and the emotional shit. I don't do paying for pussy, because I love the game. Like I love seduction. I love meeting a woman, slowly breaking her down to the point where she admires me and respects me, and then I fuck her. Okay, unless it's like on some I'm in Cancun type shit or whatever. But the whole pump and dump,
right.
I think that's a bad strategy. That ain't never been. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon. I never was about that. My whole thing with females is that I try to talk to women that I'm actually interested in. I try to talk to women that they're
right. Now I understand that if it's part of the game and the guy is truly trying to run the game to have that Philly, you know what I'm saying, and have her in his rotation, and possibly he might establish something with the chick. He don't know how the game gonna go. Yeah, I mean that's one thing. But for these dudes who get into this situation where I want to dominate just so I could bust a nut in her mouth and laugh at her.
See, I don't understand that.
What is the point?
To me,
okay, it's just like Kobe Bryant. Wait. It's just like Kobe Bryant.
Okay.
You $100 million dude. Why are you trying to get free pussy at the golf club course?
Tacky.
What? Why?
Tacky.
You could have raised up $1,000 is like 25 cents to you. You could have raised up $1,000 at any club. How? Which three of you bitches want to go home tonight?
Right.
And suck this dick
easily, without no
easily.
So it's some things that cats do that I can't understand. You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand, and I don't even try to figure these mentally ill guys out, because the whole smash and dash thing doesn't just. I don't know. It don't make a lot of sense to me, because to me you're setting yourself up for a bad outcome, because these women are vengeful, and if even though it's a lot of whores out here, these women, even the sluts, don't want to be called a slut. You know how I know that? Because look at what just happened with that MGTOW thing with the thought audit. With the thought audit thing with the betas going after those thoughts, making money online, not paying taxes, and reporting them to the IRS. That whole thing popped off this weekend, and that was a MGTOW beta male revolutionary kind of thing. So with these women, they doing prostitution online, but they not calling themselves no prostitutes. See, women, right. Most women don't want to be known as a slut. I don't care what no one says. They act like sluts. They might be sluts, but they want to escape the name while playing the game, kind of thing. So,
I will push back on that. Mm-hmm. Females don't mind being a slut. They just want to be a safe slut, meaning that most chicks, sugar babies, polyamorous chicks, swinger chicks, they want to be in an environment where they can turn that switch off and on.
They don't want the stigma that comes with it, though.
Right. They don't want to leave outside of that and have that label with them.
Yeah, they want to escape the label. So the reason I feel like the smash and dash thing is kind of dangerous because you are going out there and you making it known that you want to just treat them like whores. And some of these girls are going to get vengeful on your ass. Don't be surprised if these women try to come at you and destroy you. See, I don't I don't even go into relationships with women like that. I like a positive vibe. Like I said, when I approach a woman, I don't just approach random females. I look for green lights. If I see a woman across the hall and she looking at me and I see that twinkle, I'm at her. If she just
slow down for a minute. I gotta welcome Future Society of Gentlemen. Hello, sir. I'm gonna bring you up to speed, Future. We're talking about a couple of things right now. Sigma is giving his idea about how pump and dump on the MGTOW side of things is a ridiculous concept. I also mentioned Future how Kobe set himself up for failure trying to get free Nana when he $100 million dude. He could have offered a chick any type of thing. So I'm going to go into this other thing. I'm going to go to King first and then ask you.
Mr. Research, can you post your YouTube in the panel chat so I can actually look at the chat that's going on? Because you got your channel that I have is not where you're doing the live stream. Now, can you post where the actual YouTube channel is in the panel?
On this channel, on this I got one lady at YouTube that doesn't like me. On this channel, the chat is disabled. It's disabled, so you can't get it on this. But I'm going to transfer this whole conversation over to the other channel.
Okay.
But here's my thing, because I know I don't have that much time with you, King. But here's my question.
I'm good. I can stay with you for another hour.
Okay, so now we're on this thing about the females. Okay, we done talked about the dudes. There are a lot of women, and again, I've been around for a while. Mm-hmm. For women to be spending 8 years talking about the white guy that has never come.
Oh my God. Or
spending 8 years with the white guy who she finds out is actually married.
Yeah.
Or in Crystal and Carrison's case, you find a black guy who comes from a 2-parent home. He ain't really a man. Y'all got together early. You got to financially cater to this dude. You hate him so much. He didn't want to be a father to his child, you claim, and all this. And then you find a broken down Brad, a dude that don't got his money together, ain't living well, and got real feminine tendencies when you see this dude.
I'm glad you just mentioned that because
wait. You spent 3 years caking your white boy and building him up. This Builder Brad. Now Builder Brad done took his blue eyes on the road and done lucked up with a good, prominent job and has you in a darn near 6-figure income now. So it didn't pay off with the Builder brother, but the Builder Brad used the same concept that paid off. King, I'm going to ask you first and then I'm going to ask Future. My question is, why, if you got all this stuff going on, why do you spend so much time focused on what the brother's not doing if you're happy with your Builder Brad?
Well, I think that you already know the answer is that these women don't have a Brad. Most of these women are alone, and most of them are actually fishing in the manosphere for a nice, good simp that'll come around. That's why they keep being attracted to the black manosphere. They don't have that Brad, or they had a white boy and found out he was like a transsexual or a pervert, or he, like you said, he was married or whatever it is, and he did the smash and dash on her ass. And that happens to a lot of these Black American women. Is that, see, when you pedestalize another race, you're already setting yourself up for failure, because you're putting that person on a God-like level that no human being should ever be put on. So that's the first mistake. You're pedestalizing someone's race and not their character. So what happens is that because these women have such low self-esteem, they have such hatred for the Black men because of, you know, maybe their dad was not there, or maybe their mom put them against their father. So they take these daddy issues into adulthood, and the white men who it's like a blank canvas. They put all these ideas of what a white man is, because most of these women never grew up with a white man. Most of them grew up around just poor men. So to them, the white man is kind of like God to them. They put all these qualities of purity on the white man, his goodness, his greatness, and all these things. But then when they get with that white dude, they find out it's a whole different story. Like, you know, you
wait. I'm about to go to Future. But King, I will say this. That white guy is such a pimp that he makes sure she knows that she better be working out, staying in those heels, keep her hair the way he wanted. She got a lot of duties to stay with the white dude.
Oh,
Future, what is your thoughts, man?
Right.
Future Society, Kaz.
What's going on? What's going on, fellas?
Hey, what's happening?
What is your thought of our sisters who they got the builder, Brad, but for some reason they still mad at the Black man?
Because they're trying to materialize a natural spiritual process.
Explain that.
In other words, you're spiritually and naturally attracted to the brothers, to your own kind. But you're trying to, well, how do I exist in America? How do I pay my bills? How do I get into this nice house? How do I save up for retirement? How do I secure myself? And this is almost just like the brother King said. I'm just saying it in a more conscious sense, that they're materializing a natural process. Because just like you say, Mr. Research, the people who actually date or actually are married to people of other races, they're not making a whole bunch of, they don't have a whole business, a whole side hustle of trying to get other Black people to, they're just doing their thing. They're just doing their
Black
thing.
Woman, please try this white man out. Please.
Yeah, try it, right.
I got a whole retreat.
Exactly.
On how you can get
they have a Blexit retreat.
Have you ever heard of a retreat? Have you ever heard of Black men doing a retreat where they had to like bring in like consultants and all these different people to get a white girl? No, because most Black men that deal with women that are non-American Black women, those women fall into their narrative, whether they be a dusty dude, whether they be a six-figure dude, the women fall into their frame. Whereas with these American Black women that you guys are referring to, they know they are not in the frame of those bottom shelf Brads and Waldos. So they have to try to remake themselves and put on a mask to even get attention from the lowest picking fruit on the tree. Right. So that's pathetic. It's so pathetic.
Crystal and Karazin is like, she's a broadcaster for the swirl game. She's not even participating in the game.
Damn.
Think of like a ESPN reporter. You know, they always analyzing and saying, well, if this, if that, but never played the damn game.
Well, the funny thing about it is that
she's dipped her toe in it, but you know, there's a white dude for that woman. Why she's not married to one?
Well, I think it's a hustle for people like her. I think that they're pimping on American Black women's low self-esteem, because any retreat that's talking about a Black woman and getting a man has to start with personal trainers at the door. The first consultants that should be there, they should have a weight scale, and they should have
actually they might need a magician and a counselor to say, what do you bring to the table? Well, because she can be fat as hell. What is she bringing to the table?
Well, you know, the body fat calipers that they be using for body fat.
I'm still laughing at the weight scale. The weight scale at the door.
No, they do. They do. Like, seriously. Honestly, though, you gotta have.
Hold on. What's the ideal weight coming in the door? What's the ideal weight?
Well, the whole thing is that, like, when you're talking about white men,
you can't judge that with black women.
Typically, with white men, they don't like fat ass women on average. From what I've experienced with white men, they don't typically like the big fat women. They actually laugh at black men, saying that we like fat women and Mexican men like fat women. So,
hey, peep this.
So if you
I read this in the magazine. Peep this, brother. I read this in the magazine years ago about Jennifer Aniston. If you look at pictures of Jennifer Aniston before she did Friends, that motherfucker was thick.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, she was
right. She was 140 pounds. She was thick. I mean, not thick for a white girl. You know, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
okay, 140 pounds ain't thick for no black.
No, that's
okay. But this is what they told her. This is what she said in the magazine, and if I knew then what I know now, I would have cut it out. She said, white executives in Hollywood flat out told her, Angela Bassett and all of them, they can be 140, 150 pounds. A black woman can be thick and curvy in Hollywood. A white woman cannot be thick and curvy in Hollywood and make movies.
They have contracts.
So she lost all her weight.
Yeah, they have contracts for that in Hollywood. They have weight requirements for the women and the men, and they have body fat.
Wait. What's the name of that singer? And she's chubby. Was on American Idol first year.
Oh damn! You got me.
Talking about that white chick.
Yeah.
Oh, Kelly Clarkson.
Okay. Kelly Clarkson.
You got fat as
This chick sing better than every white chick except for Pink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they harass this chick constantly about her weight. I'm like, hold on. I'm like, this chick is better than that chick in England.
Yeah.
As far as singing.
She cannot capitalize off her whiteness. It's the residual money if she's fat. Case in point, how the hell did Katy Perry and Taylor Swift make $20 million more than Beyonce last year?
I mean,
wait. I will give Taylor Swift this. She write her own shit. Now I will give her that. Taylor will not let nobody write her shit. She writes her shit and a lot of other people's shit. Right. So I give her credit on that.
Disrespecting their hustle by saying that it's all whiteness. They have to compete against their own. So I'm not disrespecting their hustle.
They don't like fat.
At the same time, how the fuck do you make $20 million more than Queen Bee in any year? I'm just being honest. She writes her own shit and all that other stuff.
But you gotta understand that she has a wider audience as well. So
of course. I understand the marketplace.
From what I'm hearing from a lot of cats that follow music, they're saying that the white folks is taking over R&B and rap as well right now, slowly. From what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah,
because they have
because white people, R&B has turned into complaint music, or what I call
pussy music.
What I call revenge music. You left me, but now I done made it. You know, that type of shit.
Yeah.
And it's too many dudes who talk like a tenor version of Keith Sweat. It's always begging the chick about something.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Now white R&B is talking about moving on.
What does the word integrity mean to you, gentlemen? What does that word mean to you guys?
It means completeness. Go ahead, Kai. It means completeness or wholeness.
Okay, what about you, Mr. What does integrity mean to you?
Integrity is a sense of honor to me. It's like having personal honor.
Do you feel that, like, in the aggregate, that Black Americans have integrity, or do they lack integrity?
Cosmo. Cosmo.
Who's Cosmo?
You talking about me?
Yeah, you.
Okay, well, I think it's a 50-50 thing with anybody. This is what I mean by wholeness or completeness. Because I actually used to look, I looked up this term. I used to hear it a lot. And
no. He asking a different question though.
Well, my point is integrity is the connotation is honesty, but that's not what it is. It's completeness. In other words, if you're an asshole, own it. Be that complete asshole. That's integrity.
And if you have a sense of honor,
then be that all the way through.
And I'm asking the question because, you know, you guys are talking about the music industry, and it's amazing as an American Black person to watch something that was created from the Black experience. Now it's being completely whitewashed right before our eyes, and it happens all the time. And I was just asking it because I noticed that with a lot of other ethnic groups, they do a better job of holding on to their cultural creations and innovations, whereas it seems like American Blacks, they don't have the integrity of holding on to things, and everything that they do.
Well, because American Blacks do not have a set of traditions.
It was completely
everybody else that you can name has a set of traditions. Whether they practice it or not is still there for when they get old. You can have a Jewish girl who never practiced anything in any part of Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
But as she gets old and life becomes a little lonelier, she falls back into her Jewish roots. You can find a Chinese guy who don't even know how to speak any part of Hong Kong Chinese or Mandarin.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't even know the difference. But as he gets older, he gets to fall on that. African-American USA people don't have none of those things, so they tend to give it away. They tend to sell it out quicker for a couple of dollars.
Exactly.
And matter of fact, I'm going to answer your question, King, by saying this. Look at how Prince family is treating Prince's legacy.
Man, embarrassing.
Better than Michael Jackson.
Them motherfuckers should be shot.
Better than Michael Jackson, bro. He has none. He has white children that are not his, and is with completely all that stuff went back to Sony.
So I basically what I'm trying to get at is like, do you believe, like, I was listening to Mr. Neely Fuller and he said that Black culture is tacky, trashy, and terroristic. Do you agree with him or disagree with that assessment that Black culture?
I believe we don't have a culture at all.
Okay, this is what I believe, and I hate to say it. I'm going to take a white description. In almost every single intro to sociology book or intro to social studies book, it will clearly state that African American culture is one of the newest cultures on earth. Now, think about that under the context of you weren't even allowed to vote until 1965. So let me say this much. You were allowed to vote. The federal government did not support or enforce your right to vote until 1965. We're just talking about just vote.
So then okay, so based on what you're saying, what is Black culture to you? What does it mean? What is Black culture?
But define Black culture.
I'm asking,
are we talking about African culture? African American culture?
No.
We're talking about what you asked about. We're talking about American Black culture. What is American
culture? This is why I said I don't believe we have one. Let me just interject real quick. This is why I said I don't believe we have one. When you take what Future just said, combined with your question, we are too new at understanding what our traditions are to even say we have a culture.
Everything's adopted.
Well, but the anthropologists would disagree with you on that. The anthropologists would say that they would disagree about our existence, but they don't put into our constant restarting these traditions, i.e. culture. If you didn't have people do what they did in Tulsa, if you didn't have people do what they did in Rosewood, Florida, you would have what the anthropologists feel that we should have. But we keep constantly have to restart. We're just coming out of this Ronald Reagan crack epidemic. We didn't have nobody helping us the way they helping these meth heads. And now we're going into the most competitive job market, the most competitive.
So here's my point, King. I'm trying to answer your question in saying that we've constantly had to restart. Every time we got stuff on our own and did it on our own backs, there was a mob of people trying to kill us.
Right.
And when we fight back, here comes the government to take us away for killing the people who were killing us. Now that we've gotten through all that and bring it back up Future's point, and you got the right to even vote now, let alone black women being allowed into some of these places that they didn't used to get allowed to. We're brand new. We're like children to the game. So when me and Future are going on this earth, they're going to look to you, King, and be like, why is shit fucked up?
So you're saying that, like, because the fact that American blacks have existed in a dominant culture, they have not had the chance to have the kind of sovereignty.
They have not been left the fuck alone.
They've lacked
every time they get a little bit of power, they're fucking killed.
Right. Yeah. So when you say Pookie and Ray Ray, I mean, in one sense you could say they're responsible, but on the other, it's like 6 in one hand, half a dozen in another. In one hand, they were made into niggas. It was planned that way. You get me? You get what I'm saying?
I mean, I hear you.
My daughter's 12 years old. My daughter's 12 years old. She only knows one president. Our children now are entering a whole new paradigm, a whole new future, free from whatever we were connected to. The only president she's ever known was Barack Obama. Just think about that.
What about it?
Okay, here's what about it.
My point is that imagery, that iconography itself provides a vision, a spark, a dream of going forward into the future. Whereas when I'm coming up, I got Reagan, I got Bush, I got Clinton. I mean, I had Obama, but I was my habits and my mores and my understanding, my norms were already well established by the time I got Obama. See, I can get 50, I can win Mega Millions tomorrow. I will still be that same collar pot nigga. You feel what I'm saying? But my children will grow up in a different class. They will be upper class. LeBron will never be upper class, but his children will be.
Maybe.
How old are you, King?
32.
All right, so here's what I saw 8 years before you. I saw people telling black boys, you'll never own a store. You'll never be president. You'll never be this. You'll never be that. When I go back to my neighborhood, it's all Black Panthers who are telling me, hell yeah, you could be that. Hell yeah, you could be president. Hell yeah, you could. But outside of where I grew up, cats was like told they wasn't shit, never gonna be shit. And that's just how they felt. So what Future is saying, even that imagery of seeing a Barack Obama or a Huey Newton who looked like a white man, because Huey Newton was very, very, very light. You saw this, or even Kaepernick, you saw this image of possibility. And that's brand new to a lot of people who are older than you. Okay. Now, once you take that into consideration, forget the technology, forget all these advancements. My question to you, King, is what things do we currently control outright?
The American black man and black woman?
Either.
That we control outright? Nothing that I'm aware of.
Right.
They actually do control something.
So this whole culture is new to us. But go ahead, gentlemen.
Go ahead, Future.
What I was going to say is we actually do control something, but it's intangible.
What's that?
Just notice how this infantile culture that we're talking about now, and even in its infancy, like how we're saying, well, white people are taking over R&B. Well, who started that? Who started this whole American music genre? Everything.
American blacks started it with jazz, things like jazz, blues, things like rock and roll.
And please just allow me to be spiritual here for a second. Before there was money, there was us. Before there was economy, there was us. Before there was philosophy, there was us. Before any of these things that we put a label on, there was us. And different forms of different ethnic groups of us, if you want to call it that. So when we say things like, oh, well, all black people will never unify and get together. Well, when it was just us on the earth, there was no need for that. when it was just us on this earth, there was no need for competing philosophies and systems. And our people have not transitioned as a whole, as on the planet worldwide, have not transitioned into what this creature has created on this planet.
Well, I think that a lot of rude awakenings are coming for the American Black population, because I don't know if you guys have been following this Asian American case versus the Ivy Leaguers like Harvard and all that. That's about the Supreme Court next year. But if what you say is true, well, we're really going to find out what the American Black person is made of, because affirmative action, Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, all those things are going to be overturned in the next 2-3 years. But affirmative action, that's going to be overturned for college admissions next year.
But who cares? Who cares? Why does it matter?
I mean, it matters because the colleges are gateways to a lot of these opportunities that people like Barack Obama were able to take advantage of.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem, brother. Here's the problem.
Because if you talk about the symbolism of Barack Obama is a product of the university system in America.
But
and right now,
Barack Obama, and I hate to cut you off, Barack Obama is also the product of what I would call what they wanted as an African American. Okay, this is the thing, brother. This is the thing. And if we're talking about African Americans and not Americans, if we're talking about the Black community, what we're going to do for ourselves, then that does not require a Harvard accredited university degree. That does not require my access to Stanford. Does not require my access to Yale.
I think it requires your access to capital.
Okay, so wait. Let me surmise what a Future is saying, because I don't want it to get lost. Mm-hmm. Future is trying to say that the original capital was Africans or people, period.
Okay.
Future is trying to say the real solution is within us, irregardless of the participation of mayonnaise or not. And King is saying, well, the standard is what it is currently. So at some point in time, we have to operate within that standard, because from King's standpoint, we don't see the possibility of us going back, Future, to that used to be way of doing it, because everybody's mind isn't there. Please continue, gentlemen.
Right. Yeah, so go ahead, sir.
Well, I'm saying, because you mentioned Barack Obama and you said the symbolism of him. What I'm trying to say is that symbolism is going to be, I don't know how much powerful it's going to be 10 years from now, because we're going to see less and less Barack Obamas in America, or Michelle Obamas, as we go forward, because of the way that they're about to change the laws over the next couple of years. The Asian American case versus Harvard, if you're following that case, one of the things that Harvard had to do was present the memos, inter-office memos between the deans and admissions. And it was pretty bad. What they found out is that Harvard discriminates against Asian Americans, because Harvard had, based on its own internal documents, said that if they did not discriminate against Asian Americans, that Asian Americans
would take over.
Yeah, they would be like almost nearly 45%. It was 43% of all college students. Now let's think about that for a second. Asian Americans make up less than 5% of the American population, but if those schools don't discriminate against the Asian Americans, then they will make up 50% of the student body at the major universities. And so blacks and Mexicans and Native Americans, their numbers would drop probably by 80% over the next 5 to 10 years. So
now, wait. Before you guys continue, let me say this. Because most of our Asian American cousins don't participate in the military. They don't waste time doing that. They go down to the local city council and try to get grants and any money they can, so they can start up community centers for their children. Mm-hmm. They use that community center money, which is part of your black taxes, to create schools for them and their children. And they spend most of the time not voting or participating in any voting, so they can't be counted as far as their numbers. Their thing is get education, get education, get education. White people know that. And white people are like, oh, wait a minute, we messed up. We got a group of people here who seek out white men to marry, who we've allowed to have babies on our soil, and we consider them American. We got a group of people who doing everything to capitalize, but are not partaking of protecting America. And now they realize it. But go ahead.
Yeah, and that was my point that I was getting to, is that they've really taken advantage of the educational opportunities, grant money, and things like that. And they really have empowered themselves, even as a small minority. And what I'm saying is that I don't really see American blacks in the aggregate taking advantage of these things. I don't see it.
Okay, then, and that's what I was going to get to, is that we have to operate. One thing I heard Al Sharpton say this, and it was a very smart thing to say. We all have the same end game, the same finish line, but we're all running different lanes to get there. We all have to operate at different levels. The number one game that blacks can play is the special interest game. The special interest group game is the third level of getting legislation passed.
There you go.
It is party agnostic. It has absolutely nothing to do with who's president, who's governor, who's the mayor. It's all about getting a seat at the table.
So
as a focused special interest group.
So why have they failed to do this?
And different groups that operate, that are focused on different objectives. Not they don't have to be 10 objectives. It can just be one.
Now, okay, that sounds like something that I've heard lots of times. But my question is, in 2018, why has it not been done yet? Why?
Why?
Constant restarting.
But we need to start constant restarting, like Mr. Research saying, and something that we're not doing. We're not taking that same education that you're speaking of, that same education. We're not taking that same education and becoming African-centered. Using that same education to
Black first
ourselves. We're using that education to manage white supremacy. I mean, I don't even want to call it that.
But Carter G. Woodson was talking about that way back in the 20s and 30s.
We aspire to be the CEO of American Express, not the Onyx Express.
So, wait. Let me interject it. So King Sigma, I guarantee if there was okay, so what happened that Reagan did in order to fund the Contra affair? And I'm going to use 2018 as an example. Let's say they wanted to get out this Syria thing. So what they did is they went to everybody that had a vape, because everybody's out vaping, right?
Right.
And they put a mist in each one of these capsules that slowly gets everybody addicted to it. Okay. They don't know that this thing even exists. They don't know that it's addictive because everybody's vaping. Okay. But now, after 4 years, everybody's addicted to vape, and you got people willing to let you have sex with a 12-year-old daughter just to get vape. That's what happened with the crack cocaine era. It destroyed companies. It destroyed Black-owned everything. And I guarantee you this, if that had not happened, you would see more of what you in Future are talking about. You would see Black empowerment finally be able to make moves. Remember, at this time, it wasn't a lot of immigrants here either. It was barely a lot of Africans here.
And now it's going to bring up the Africans too.
So that would have allowed that Blackness to take flourish. But my point is, every time these guys try to start doing their thing, here comes some nonsense like the crack epidemic, where people will be like, well, the people didn't have to freebase it. Drugs was a normal thing. You listen to Bill Cosby, it was normal back then. Like prohibition was normal to have a beer. But when somebody sinister comes along and puts something in the stuff that makes it more addictive, now everybody's thrown off. So yeah, I think we would have had those things if people had not have intervened. But go ahead.
So the question becomes for me then, because what you say is true, but I'm saying, well, then if you know that this group has these sinister plots against you, because it ain't nothing new. The cocaine epidemic of the 1920s and 1930s, the same thing. The heroin epidemic of the 50s, the 60s, and the early 70s. Then you had the crack in the 80s and the 90s. Now you got the meth and shit like that. So what I'm saying is that if you know that people are having sinister plots against you, when do you break the cycle? When do you stop? Or are you saying that it's impossible to stop these resets? Because if you're saying
no, I'm not saying it's impossible to stop. I'm saying that if I was to do it right now to vaping, you wouldn't know until 5 years later.
I'm saying that it's your job, and I'm saying it's your job of the people younger than you.
What was done with crack cocaine was sneaky. Mm-hmm. And if I did it to vape, you wouldn't even recognize it was happening until 5 years later. So even though we are not doing the meth stuff, right, and we got the capability to finally do it now in your era, King. Mm-hmm. My point is, if I'm an FBI or CIA guy and I put something in all these vapes, you're going to restart again.
And I think that is what has been happening, is that it just seems like it's always a restart, because you know, I've had these conversations with the boomers and the Xers, asking them about their own lives and where they feel that this shit went wrong since the late 60s, because obviously blacks were headed in the right direction when they got the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act and all those things passed in the mid 60s. And then it just seems like from that 65, it just started to make a slow decline. And talking to older brothers, they told me that they felt the big change in the black culture in their communities came around 88 to 92, that they felt something different, and that it was something about the culture that changed drastically between 88 and 92. And what I'm saying is that at what point do we stop falling for these resets, or are these permanent part of living in a dominant society where you're the minority and you're black and you have a white dominant population? Is that just built into this system that it's always going to be a restart and the majority of blacks are always going to fall for it? That's what I'm wondering.
Future society?
What's that?
Is it always going to be a restart? I'm going to have to lean towards yes, for this very reason. And I have to look at history. This is the modern Roman Empire.
Okay.
And
say it again.
This is the modern Roman Empire. And right now, I think we're entering who was the first? We're entering the age of Nero and Caligula. We're Nero and Caligula right now. Oh, that's where we are, brother. That's exactly. History is repeating itself.
Oh, we're definitely.
We're just saying. This is the thing, brother. As I started this conversation saying that we were here in the beginning, baby, we're going to be here in the end game. We're going to win the game. We're going to win the game. We're going to be here in the end. We are just here as we're no different than immigrants in the Roman Empire. No different. Absolutely no different. They don't fully detail the Roman Empire in history like the way they should. Most of the Roman legions were
wait. They had to restart 4 times.
They had to restart.
They had to restart 4 times.
Most of the Roman
3 of those dudes got assassinated.
Most of the Roman legions that were marching into Germany and Britain were foreigners. They were auxiliaries. They were troops. They were not Italians. Speaking of which, they were biracial at this time, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But most of the Roman legion were foreigners. They were co-opted. They were full-blown Roman. In fact, they had to offer them citizenship in order to get them to serve and augment the army.
Yeah, I've done a lot of reading up on the decline of Rome, and I'm definitely aware of the last phase of the ancient Roman Empire, as far as mercenaries and them having so many mercenaries amongst their legions and the debts and things like that. That's something that I've been studying a lot in America. Is definitely seems to be in that
feudalism. Phase. The system of feudalism started in Rome. It blew my mind when I kept digging back through it. Knighthood started in Rome. Look it up. Roman knight. and all the different ranks and files and profiles that go with it bled into what we know as medieval feudalism and the peerage system.
So you're saying that to you, it basically sounds to me that you're saying that as long as blacks are a minority within America without autonomy, that they're gonna be put in these resets, and that you feel, are you saying that you feel that they need autonomy and they need to be free from the system in order to flourish in the culture?
With all of the knowledge and education and spending power we have right now, African Americans need to be amassing in the Southeast and trading and getting accounts with the U.S. Import-Export Bank right now and trading with their Caribbean and African brothers and sisters. What's stopping you from doing that?
There you go.
Simple as that. I've solved your problem. And then I've also solved your problem of the electorate, because you're going to control the electorate. You can gerrymander the districts all you want. See, let's stop whining about being Stacey Abrams not winning governor. The most important race right now in Georgia is this runoff called for Secretary of State. They control the elections. See, we got to rig the game. No more the plug was missing at the voting booth in an all-black county, but you got 4 white members of the damn board of the board of electors sitting in the all-black county. Are you see what I'm saying? We're playing the damn game wrong.
That same thing happened in Detroit in this election, where they voted for like a Palestinian in a 70% black district.
But see, this is why I don't like. This is why I don't like when millennials come out and say voting don't matter. Then this is why I don't like when millennials come out and say.
Actually, that was a Gen Xers that started that. The Gen Xers.
Oh well, whoever it was, I don't like when cats come out with that nonsense. It's like it's totally ridiculous, because it allows the real enemy to get a foothold in. Just like Future said, if we planted our own stuff, did our own stuff, and reached out to Caribbeans and just went back and forth between us. If we had a black Walmart.
Do you guys feel like you guys are putting the cart before the horse, though?
Absolutely
no,
not.
How?
Absolutely not. When Kasim Reed was mayor of Atlanta, he went to China and made a business deal just for the city.
But I think you guys are ignoring the fact that the state of the black family and the black communities are in shambles because of a poor parenting and things like that need to be fixed first. You're not going to be able to get.
Here's the thing, brother. Let me speak to that. If the black father would just focus on being an economical giant,
I do like that.
He could subdue anything these females talk about. You know what the one thing these females fear?
Mm-hmm.
A black man that they have to ask. That's the number one thing. That's why do you think most of these women prefer to deal with dudes that they believe they can control? Or when a woman does find a future society, a gentleman, and want to marry, why is it her girlfriends that kind of want to talk something in her ear?
So I want to. Okay, that's very interesting.
Wait. Let me get to the crux of what I'm saying. My point is simply this. When I learned a long time ago that as long as I got the money on deck to pay my way out of a lot of dumb shit,
mm-hmm.
I can keep moving forward at a rapid pace, I ain't never stopped moving forward.
Right.
When I was trying to do 50-50 or just enough, that's when all the problems came.
Mm-hmm.
And as it relates to women, we got to be in an economic situation where we like, oh, you say you pregnant? Okay. My lawyer will contact you in the morning. We got to get you in court now. I'm going to present you with a payment scale. You're going to have to sign off that you will not take welfare, and even if she don't sign it, when I go to that welfare court, hey, she was offered this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to take it, so now I want full custody. You got to be at their throats. You can't go. I think the number one problem with what you talk about in the family structure
mm-hmm.
is the fact that the black man is trying to get along. Fuck that.
Okay, thank you. See, that's what I was trying to get to, because when I said that I felt like you guys were putting the cart before the horse, I feel like to get to where you guys are talking about, which is very valid, because all you would have to do is congregate those people with the right plan, and they could take over. But You can't get there because you have so many defective black people out here that are not willing to get on the same page. And I think it starts in the homes. It starts in our homes.
Guess what? I don't care. And this is why. It's not the cart before the horse. It's the horse before the cart. Who's the horse and who's the cart? We're the horse. These three gentlemen on this phone right now are the horses. All white folks ain't on the same page. They are following their leaders. They're following Donald Trump right now. Fool, who's taking orders from billionaires who is sitting in secret. That's the game, brother. You know, when my father told me at 15, son, you can't see the forest for the trees. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. But what he's talking about is, I keep trying to look at all the different distractions, all the different things, but the path is straight and narrow. And the intellectuals, the talent, the 10th, whatever you want to call them, the plan, all these things we're talking about, brother, all that stuff has already been written. It's been studied. They've done statistics. I can point you to so many things that have been done, from Booker T. Washington all the way to Amos Wilson. The smart people need to stop worrying about Pookie and Ray Ray and be themselves and get together and move forward. Stop worrying about Pookie and Ray Ray. Our job is to provide. Our job is to provide jobs for Pookie and Ray Ray. That's our job. These all white folks ain't on the same page, man. That's why the common white, that's why the regular white man ain't feeling you on racism and prejudice and discrimination, because hey, I got to go out here and work hard to compete against my own. He's a follower. He ain't leading nothing.
If I can provide Pookie a job, Pookie could go back to his Section 8 home and say, hey, look, check this out. I got to work for Mr. Q, and I don't need to disappoint this dude. He told me don't let him down or he going to let me go. So you listen to me, lady. I got to get up here at 6. I ain't got time for X, Y, and Z. You got to get that done. Now she knows she's dealing with a real decision maker in her house. Not no motherfucker that's going to sit up here and try to do all this shit and make it to work on time. We gotta put ourselves in position, King Sigma, the lawyer, to have a black male secretary, a black male admin assistant, a black male paralegal, if you can. We got to put ourselves in these positions so those dudes can go to their house and be like, hey, look, Sigma count on me to open the office even if he ain't making it in. I know he out drunk somewhere, but that's my guy, man. And I can't, I'm his number 2 dude. I can't let this dude down.
And that's very valid what you guys are saying, because I didn't think about it from the standpoint that you guys, and I just see my mentality has always been to just go get it. You see what I'm saying? Like I ain't never thought about it.
Wait. Me and Future are always looking at it from that point, because me and Future constantly think like businessmen with something to lose. That's our standpoint. That's why I always like inviting Future, because he's looking at it from, hey, look, I don't care if I got $1 million, I can lose this shit.
Yeah. See, and I've always just taken the approach that I just go get it. Like, you know, I ain't never really thought about it so in the way that you guys are thinking about it. Like, okay, you're going to employ this person, all that. My whole thought has always been, I've never been able to depend on American black people for the most part. See, most of the American black people that I've come across as far as doing business, as far as being goal-oriented and results-oriented, are full of shit. So once you get up there, King, you're gonna have an option. Once you get up there, you're gonna have an option. You're gonna have the safe Asian, the very safe Latin, the kind of safe white, or you're gonna risk it all and hope that the brother represents. Now, here's the thing. When you get a loyal brother or sister, the motherfuckers is more loyal than all the other ones put together. You got people. Get the right loyal employee.
Wow, he described it.
Them motherfuckers will make sure you never fall. I mean, to the point where they'll come and check you.
See, that's good that you
described it. You described it to the T.
I'm glad that I have guys like you that actually can give me that example, because I think what happens to a lot of black men and a lot of black women out here, when you're coming up, a lot of times you're on your own. And you don't
let me tell you what my boss told me, my old boss who later became my friend. I was at the hospital and I had to go help a family do something. And he never came in to check with me on Saturday and Sunday about nothing. Never called me or nothing. Mm-hmm. Man called me on my cell phone in a panic. Dude, where you at? Oh, I just because we don't have a pastor here. This family was crying, and I had to take them somewhere because they was fighting in the ICU room. Oh, because one of the nurses called me and he said this, dude, I have to rely on you to be me when I'm not there. Mm-hmm. Because I know you can handle it. I never even questioned it. I never said this to you, but always let me know even when you're not going to be in that area, because I need to be able, when somebody calls and says some slick shit, I need to be able to know I know what he's doing. I said, oh, okay, no problem. That's what you got to have. As you got to have those type of people. And later, me and this dude became best friends after I left the company. Mm-hmm. You got to have those type of people that got your back, where you can trust them to the keys with your home. Hey, I'm out of town, man. Can you go get blah blah blah? And we normally trust the white and the Asian because we feel like they ain't gonna do nothing. They human too.
I don't trust them motherfuckers either. But I'm just saying that for a lot of guys, especially a lot of guys that came up from the crack generation, a lot of us were forced to do everything on our own, is what I'm saying. So one of the negatives of that is that when you're forced at a young age to have to start working to take care of yourself, when you're forced to be your own motivation, when you're forced to be your own goal setter, and you're literally no family help, no community help, you kind of end up being this person that don't even expect none from other people. And so it's good that you guys are saying that, you know what, there are people out there that's on the same page as you, and that you actually can do business with, and that you can depend on, because I have not seen that yet amongst my own Black American people. I just haven't, for the most part. Most of the time, it's like they just do a lot of talking, if they're even talking, but there's not a lot of doing. And often a lot of these people be the first ones to tell you something negative when you come to them with a proposal. So like you might come to them and be like, hey, got this idea to start this dating app, and I'm going to call it such and such, and it's going to hook people up based on their credit score. And if you don't, this, and then the first thing on their mind is, oh, it's something negative. That's the only experience I've really gotten from most American Black people. I've had certain American Black people, like uncles and a couple of my cousins and grandfathers, that was very positive, that was motivated. But in general, I meet more American Black people that are always negative or always trying to shortchange you than I do those that are talking what y'all talking.
You know what I think? You know what I really believe? I believe is part of the issue is being too close to the problem. And when I first left the military, I got really heavy into the entrepreneurial community back in 2008, and I absorbed a lot of their principles. And of course, the vast majority, maybe 99% of these guys were white or Asian guys, white or Indian guys. And the main thing was nobody believed in me. Nobody believed that I could do this on my own, except maybe my wife, maybe my dad.
Right.
Difference being, Dad was in a position to give them a $10,000 to $50,000 loan. That was the main difference between them and a Black male. But I do hear what you're saying. But if you really was to dig into the entrepreneurial community and hear their stories, they would say the exact same thing. But they're not describing color. They're just saying these people didn't believe in me. These people didn't invest in me. Everybody said no, 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 no. Somebody finally said yes. But when that happened to a Black male and we project it, we always say Black people this, Black people that, Black people that. But in reality, in the greater cosm of things, it happens with everybody. As I said before, everybody they're on the same page when the enemy strikes, but on the day-to-day basis, they're not on the same page. They're competing with one another.
And that's right. Fair. That's fair enough.
Well, my thing is like this. This is why I try to teach people on the wolf side of things. Become a manager. Stop being okay with just punching in. So you can understand what it feels like when somebody don't show up because it's raining. So you can understand what it feels like when somebody got to go do something with their child and they 2 hours late. So you can understand what it feels like letting go of somebody that you really like versus keeping somebody you really don't like because they do the job extremely well and you can sleep at night.
Yeah, man. You said
those people who said that to you, Sigma,
right?
Most of them don't understand that. They don't understand that an invoice sheet and a PLO sheet is the same thing. So it's like it's hard to have them understand anything because they're okay with just punching in and getting a check every 2 weeks.
Right. And I had cats that I grew up with that would tell me things that were, slightly older than me. When you told them about, your ambitions and, I want to go do this, want to do that, they would say things like, why are you trying to be white? I remember I had a cat that was a family friend. In his mind, wanting to go to college and things like that was trying to be white. Like you trying, I mean,
well, part of that,
there's an explanation for that. In one sense, it is. In one sense, it is. I want you to really think about it. I want you to really think about it. Just like how you were talking about the Harvard thing. And there's nothing wrong with that idea, but who put that idea into your head?
I put it into my own head.
No, you didn't.
I know that for a fact. No, I know it for a fact that I put it.
No, you did.
I know for a fact that I put attending college into my own head because everyone in my family was working class or they was into the street life. And I myself, no one ever told me to go to college. Not one person.
How do you know about college?
Watching TV. So I would watch. So you know what? I watched shows like different TV shows, and I was always in love in playing sports. I was very good at sports in high school, so I started going to college campuses because of sports, and that's where my interest in college came from. I didn't know no one that graduated from college growing up.
You got it from college, right? You got it from television, right?
Television and sports, yeah.
And who put the content together?
I mean, obviously the networks put the TV things on television, so I was watching.
And who's in control of that? Harvard is a 400-year-old institution?
One of the oldest institutions in America. I'm quite sure
that is correct. So there's absolutely no way that you had the idea created for yourself.
Well,
you get what I'm saying?
In theory, he did not. No, I understand both points.
This from a matrix.
But what I'm saying, the idea of knowledge, the idea of pursuing knowledge didn't start with Harvard, though. It didn't start with white people. The idea of the
eternal locus of control. It's an eternal locus of control.
The idea of the pursuit of knowledge and enlightenment started actually with black people a long time ago. Arabs, things like that. They had college. The idea of college came from liberal arts.
Egypt was considered college because the Greeks went to Egypt to get educated.
Yeah,
the Greeks didn't even know how to read.
Yeah, they went to Egypt and places like that to get sung high and things like that. They went there to get knowledge. So the idea that college is some white thing, that's not true. The pursuit.
No. I did not say that college was a white thing. I did not say that.
Well, I'm saying the idea was put in me. What I'm trying to say to you is that, I believe that
in the context, when I'm trying to get you to say that in the context, in the matrix, in the system, as Q says it all the time, in the system that you live in, under the context that we all live in, the idea of going to college. And you didn't say now. I don't know whether you thought about a HBCU or anything at all, but you said everybody around you was what? Working class, correct?
I thought about I had a track scholarship to Norfolk State, so I looked at HBCU.
Right. But of course, everybody. And I'm not. You can go to any college, brother. None of that really matters. But if everybody around you is working class,
right?
Under the context of under which we currently live, if you're saying, oh, I need to go to college, that idea, you got to think about the fact that your people were living unstable, somewhere enslaved that could not even read. So again, to come from that, all again, your people just gained the right to vote. We have to remember how important that is. That was just 54 years ago. That's not that long ago. That's not that long ago. So the idea of, oh, I just want to go to college, to a nigga that you see, you get what I'm saying? That's created from the system. The system
I don't agree with that, because
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I don't buy it, because
that is, that's a white man's idea. No, so I'm not justifying this. I'm telling you where it comes from. I'm telling you where it comes from.
W.E. Du Bois was the first black. W.E. Du Bois was the first black man to receive a PhD, and that was way back in the 1800s from Harvard. David.
Who knows about W.E. Du Bois? How many people know about W.E. Du Bois?
David Walker wrote the Appeal to Black America in 1831 before he was murdered by the Ku Klux Klan. He was very.
Who knows David Walker?
I know
these people.
I know him, and I hope you guys.
Okay, of course we do. You get what I'm saying about the horse leading the cart?
But no,
we do.
What I'm saying is that I think that when I say that I put the idea in my mind, what I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes things are genetic too. Sometimes a person is born with a love for knowledge. They're born that way. It ain't something that was cultural. It's not something that was environmental. There's many arguments about this. How much of the pursuit of knowledge and interest in certain things is genetic versus environmental? I'm telling you, after having a chance to talk to all my relatives and studying my own life, I know for a fact it was something that was just in me. I love knowledge. I've always loved knowledge. So
why you didn't go to Howard?
I didn't go to Norfolk State because I wanted to go. I had a full scholarship to a Big Ten university. That's why. I went where the money was. The money dictated where I was going. I came from a working class family. I didn't have the money to go to those schools that weren't offering full scholarships. I went where I got a full ride and I wouldn't have any debt. It was a
so you opted to not make the sacrifice.
I made plenty of sacrifices. All my life has been sacrifice. Why is that not a sacrifice? I went to the place where it was more practical for me to get an education at the lowest cost to me. Why,
okay, so now let's just take you, the individual, and now let's multiply that 1,000 times and give that an African mindset. Now take that Big Ten university education, and now what do you want to use it for?
Well, right now I'm using it to be self-employed. Right now, I'm satisfied with that for now, because that was a major goal of mine, was to be able to make enough money on my own without having to go check into a 9-to-5 job. Now that I'm on that path and I'm actually writing my own checks now, everything else will come later. I don't know what the next step is. I just told Q that something that I'm working on right now. I'm learning JavaScript, and I'm trying to create the blackmanosphere.com for a space for black men to be able to have like a chat space off of YouTube, off of Twitter, where they can go to. So I'm working on things. So I have my own plan. For me, not working a 9-to-5 job, after working in a financial services company, after working in the government, I found out I don't like working for other people. I actually like writing my own checks, and I like making my own schedules. So that's where I'm at today. Today, what's most important to me is that I have enough equity and enough liquid cash that I can honestly say, hey, I don't have to go work a 9-to-5 job. I can move towards my next goal. So that's where I'm at today. I don't know where I'll be at next week. But right now, not working a 9-to-5 office job is my focus right now.
And where I'm getting at is, just like there's one of you, there's how many black male graduates every year? Is like 500,000, something around that number?
It's shrinking.
Everybody is an I, but there's no we.
I mean, there's some truth to that.
Yeah, I give you that.
But I would say that can't be true.
See, I wasn't questioning your choices. I was just putting it. I was playing devil advocate. So
no.
Yeah. So don't think that I was because I was Mr. Georgia Tech, Mr. Harvard. I was the shit. Hey, I had a 1450 SAT score. All this, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my whole thought is, we're doing the we right now. That's just where I disagree with you. See, I feel like this is we. This is how I operate. I think where you and I are different is that you're more of a fisherman in the sense that you're gonna throw the net and catch as many fish as you can. Whereas with me, I tend to just go in a direction, and I find that the people that have the same mentality as me, we just connect and vibe, and we go from there. We just take a different approach. That's all.
And what me and Q have been trying to establish is a lot of sacrifice has been made along the road so that you have the freedom to do that.
But there's a lot of people that have not taken advantage of those sacrifices that have been made by their ancestors, and actually
they're Future is saying we're so new at it. That's why it's a lot of people not taking advantage.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I feel like that may be true for some, but I think a lot of people they know what the opportunity is. They know it's like not knowing right from wrong. They know. They just don't care. I think
when Barack Obama became president, there should have been the mission of a black male to groom his son to marry those two girls.
Married to white men.
There should have been the mission of somebody in the black community.
So I mean,
right there, you're establishing a dynasty.
I'm going to do a video on that, Future, because that is an interesting concept.
They're going to marry white men because they're dating white men right now. So that looks like that's what's going to happen there.
Right. But instead of us sitting back whining about it, we had 8 years to get two brothers in the heart. Sole mission.
Well, I think there are black men.
Baby in those two girls.
They're probably dating white and Asian.
Again, it's another learning lesson, another missed opportunity. Because again, a lot of dead bodies. There are billions of dead bodies, brother, to get us to where we are now.
Oh, it's absolutely true. I agree, and that's why it kind of surprised.
I understand you questioning. I understand you questioning the infrastructure. I understand you questioning the platform, the lack of platform. I understand you questioning the past. I get it. But a lot had to die to get here.
Oh, it's no question about that. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like with that being true, I see a lot of black people spitting in the faces of their ancestors. We fell from a place. How is it that my grandparents got this group to a high point in the 60s, but we've fallen in 60 years to the point where the Washington Post and even all the liberal media has said straight up, blacks have zero progress.
Now, brother, all of you educated brothers with all this knowledge, all of you brothers with your youth and your health, you brothers need to unify and move back to Africa or the Caribbean and take over. I was talking to an African guy the other day, and you know, one of the largest markets in Africa is buying American goods. They want American things. Yes. They want American things. The future is not here. This is Rome is dying. You brothers need to prepare 100, 200 years from now to transition from this.
I mean, that's fair. I gotta honestly
I'm just being honest.
Oh, no. I don't disagree with you with that. I actually do believe that America's in its death phase. I do not dispute that at all. I do not dispute that. It's obvious. It's in its death phase. And I've always felt that the diasporic opportunities are there. I'm just now starting to travel. I'm just now starting to be in a position to travel the world. I haven't even been to Africa yet, but I'm looking forward to going there now that I have taken my DNA test. I know where my people came from. No, but I'm definitely,
just like the implanting of an idea. Like my wife was talking, I was talking to her the other day. She wants to go overseas. I said, well, where you want to go? She says Paris. And there you go again. Who implanted that idea that Paris was the place to go? It's a beautiful place to go. But who implanted that idea? She hadn't even been to her homeland.
Yeah.
Future, make some room for screenwriter. Screenwriter has joined us. Hello, screenwriter.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Just want to catch you up on what we're talking about. We're talking about a plethora of things. Right now, I want to ask you a question. I'm going to let Future get back to saying what he was saying. Sorry to interrupt you, Future. Future brought up a great question, screenwriter. Should should black men who were well-to-do or well-learned, should they have strategically put themselves in place to marry the Obama's daughter?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man, I ain't never thought
Go
about
ahead and
that.
think about it. Wait. If you need time to think, go ahead.
Yeah, let me think
That's a
about it.
bomb.
Okay, Future, go ahead and finish, and we go come back to screenwriter and give her time to think.
Well, my whole thing is, uh, you remember that movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah.
It's all about the inception of an idea. Back to that whole visioning of Obama as president. He is the only president that children born from pretty much 2005 forward know. When Donald Trump became president, a lot of black children said, "Oh my God, he's going to kill black people." They were crying, not thinking about all the racist presidents my grandmother had to grow up with. My great grandmother. You get what I'm saying? Trump killing all black people? Yeah, right. I grew up under Reagan. Get real. It's all about envisioning the inception of an idea. And I just had that vision, that idea of why have we not groomed? We got to do things through the back door and create infiltration agents. Why not seek out, groom two black males to get with the sole purpose of impregnating those two girls to create a dynasty?
How do you know that there's someone?
Now, it would have to be the right, straight, learned, upward mobile. I ain't talking about the Kwame Browns of the world, but
The Andrew Gillum.
somebody, or not Kwame Brown, but the Mayor Kwame. I'm not talking about him.
It sounds like
talking about the hip hop. You talking about the hip hop
uprise, like the Andrew Gilliams of the world, to make something like that happen and create that dynasty.
Sounds like you got
King Sigma. Go ahead and get some room on the mic, man. I know we have stepped over you a couple of times. Go ahead and express your thoughts, man.
Well, what I was going to respond, it sounded like what the Future is talking about, kind of like an arranged marriage situation. That's what it sounds like. But
King Sigma, did we lose you?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello,
I
King
hear,
Sigma.
I hear you.
You can hear me, Future?
I hear you.
Okay. So what I was saying is that I feel like what you were saying is kind of like an arranged marriage situation, but I think that there probably were elite black families that were trying to do that, but you have to understand that maybe those girls were programmed to prefer white men. You got a whole community of black women on the internet right now telling black women to worship white men right now. So how do I know that the Obama daughters didn't have a straight preference for black? Maybe they rejected the black dudes that tried to.
Brother, there's not one female in my family that knows Crystal and Karazin.
Let him finish. Though.
There may not be anyone in your family that knows Crystal and Karazin, but I bet you that you got someone in your family that's watched Scandal for the last 8 years.
Oh, I have white. I have interracial marriages. My first cousin. I have them. I have them.
But what I'm saying is that the idea that you're saying, what I'm saying is there's a second side to
Let him finish, Future.
It's not just a male option. It's like the male may be the pursuer, but the woman has to accept the courtship. And what I'm saying is that there's a lot of black women in today's day that have been groomed over the last 10, 15 years to have a preference for white men. So when Obama daughters hit camp, the first thing they did was get white men. So how do I know that wasn't just their preference? And even if those black men did groom their black sons, they have to accept those courtship from those black men. Some of these women, they're taking the courtship of the white male over the black male right now. That's happening a lot right now.
We don't know because we didn't try. We didn't know because just like everything else, we do too much W.E.B. Du Bois and not enough Booker T. Washington.
I'm gonna take a gamble and say that I bet money that there were plenty of black men that approached Malia Obama when she came to campus.
Let's hear what Screenwriter has to say. Screenwriter, you're the lady of the hour. What are your thoughts on what we're talking about?
To answer your question, I don't personally get into telling men what they should do or anything like that. But I think strategically, if in an arranged situation, that would have been an ideal idea. And I mean, we don't know. It may not have worked out, but I highly doubt anybody tried. Just as I highly doubt. I mean, you talk arranged marriage to people, to African Americans. I don't think that majority of them would be even up for that idea.
I'm
Male
not
or
talking
female.
about arranged marriage. Let me clarify. I'm not talking about arranged marriage. Do we not have black males that attend Harvard and Yale and Princeton and Cornell and Phillips of Andover and all these places, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Why not? Why not groom a stable of black males? Everything is at random. An infiltration agent everything is at random. Some of the if you got to play the odds. If I send 10 of you up there, 4 of you gonna hit. Get what I'm saying? It's like sperm. We got to groom a stable of agents, not arranged marriages. You're gonna each have your chance to naturally woo these girls, one after the other after the other.
So what if they get to those campuses and they see women that they want that they have a better connection with, look better than those girls? Then what?
That's
Well,
not
we can
his
always
mission.
do.
That's
We
not
can
his
always
mission.
do.
That's not
But we
his
can always
mission.
do. What if it's going to be forever? What if it's like a open-ended thing?
All I'm
So
saying is that all I'm saying is that either it sounds like what you're calling for is, you said it's not arranged marriage. I understand, but it sounds to me like it's almost like arranged marriage.
I
It's
love
social
Future,
engineering.
but it is a symbolism of arrange. He's letting things happen. He's just spiking the numbers. He's spiking the numbers, and that's what he's doing.
I'm
So if you
social
want to,
engineering.
Yeah, you're social.
no,
That's arranged marriage.
well,
You're doing like an informal eugenics type of
Well, when we say social engineering, that involves a much larger framework than just the marriage in and of itself.
But marriage is a
Talking
yeah,
about
very
the
critical
entire.
part of social. The mating game is fundamental to the social engineering now,
you
because that's
can't
why.
call it okay. You cannot call it an arranged marriage. An arranged marriage, by definition, is that the parents are going to present these options, and that's all you got. That's an arrange. What he's doing is an engineering thing where he's presenting the probability more likely to happen. And I understand what Sigma's saying. If they still choose no Asian or Filipino, it's still their choice. What he's doing is trying to stoke the probability of it staying in the lineage of blackness. That's
It's a
all he's
good
doing.
idea, but you got to wonder, if you got Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, you got to wonder, with the circles that they roll in and the black families that they're connected to in that elite class, you got to wonder why they didn't do this. Why didn't they do this?
They're not connected to that many black elite families.
Because
Screenwriter.
They're connected to the Kennedys.
they're from Chicago.
I want to
They're
switch
connected
this
to the
up.
Kennedys.
I want to switch this up. Screenwriter. I invited you in because once again, it's the time to ask a bunch of black men some questions that women always wanted to know. So, screenwriter, you are our token crown lady. You get to ask on not necessarily what you want to know, screenwriter, because you're an intelligent person, but what women want to know from these classier black men, not the Jodies and the baby boys, but these classy black men. So, 5 questions, screenwriter. What are women wanting to know from these 2 great examples of classy black men?
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Um. Okay. I guess the question I want to know is, what? I mean, I've asked this before, but I mean, I guess it's good to get it from different males' perspectives. What's
There
like
you
a
go.
complete turnoff for you guys in terms of what's that one thing that, I mean, she could have everything else, but if she has this one thing, you can't deal with her.
Ooh, that's a very good question. Ooh, that's a good question. Damn,
Who wants to answer first?
Go ahead, Future. You go ahead.
I can tell you right now, when she projects that she knows my thoughts, my motives, what my mother's thinking, when she thinks she can project my next move, we're on our very first date or first encounter, so to speak. Oh, you just like this. Oh, you just like that. Oh, you say this. Oh, you say that. Oh, you must still be with your baby mama. Stuff like that. Like, I don't even have a baby mama. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, everybody do. Every boy has one. You know what I'm saying? That right there is an automatic drop off at the gas station.
So you're saying that she's trying to stereotype you?
In other words, she's trying to. You know how they always say a woman is one step ahead of a man? She's trying to wear that on her sleeve.
Okay, so I would say for me, the biggest turnoff is a uncooperative woman. That I would definitely say for me, because I'm very much a straightforward person. I'm kind of reserved in my real life. I don't just open up to people. So I like a woman who's very cooperative and laid back, down to earth kind of female. I don't like them ratchet. I don't like them too bougie either. I like them right in the middle. I like a woman that has a bougie soul, but she has a working class demeanor about herself, that she's down to earth, but she has that intelligence and she knows how to supplement my narrative and just be very finesse me. That's what I like. So a woman that doesn't have finesse, a woman that's not cooperative, that's definitely the biggest thing.
My number one is she does not handle pressure well. She does not handle getting her way well. I can't deal with that. I don't care how good you are on paper. I don't care. I don't care about a bunch of stuff. If you cannot handle things going left, you're not a benefit. You're just not. You're going to be more of a problem. And I look at a lot of marriages. That's the number one thing 7 years down the road that causes the problem. One person is able to deal with stuff going left better than the other person. And the other person tends to either break all the way down and become a liability, or they end up sabotaging in some type of way because they have no stability to add to the game. What's the next question, screenwriter?
Screenwriter, are those common responses that you get?
Say that again?
Are those common responses that you receive from other men that you talk to?
No, the uncooperative thing, yes, but the other two responses, no.
Okay.
Which is real interesting. What's the next question? I gotta think of the next question.
Because it's not the future. It sounds like the women that you were talking about, these sound like women that might have actually been intimidated by you and they were actually trying to sabotage the situation. I know it sounds crazy, but there are women out there that if they meet a guy who they feel that, quote unquote, might be superior to them culturally, financially, and things like that, there are women that have the kind of self-esteem where they might actually try to sabotage themselves. Because
let's turn everything around. King Sigma asked screenwriter a question about women that you assume you already know, but we're going to see if screenwriter is able to give one of her screenwriter ways of breaking it down. Ask the question.
Go ahead, Future. You go first. I got to think of that one because I don't really make a lot of assumptions about women because I grew up with a lot of my mom and her aunts that they were like the very predatory kind of females. So I've always been the type of person that growing up with predatory women.
Predatory, explain that.
Predatory, yes.
Oh, a predatory female is a woman who she tries to dominate her men, and she's the type of woman that will cast away husbands if they don't stay on her program. See, my mom just finished her 4th marriage, so I was raised by a predatory female in the sense that at a young age, my mom was very open with me about how she thought of most men. So I didn't want to be one of those guys. So I just watched her. I watched her sisters. I watched my female cousins. And one of the things I've never done, I don't assume anything about a woman. That's what I was telling you earlier.
Well, hold on. I got a question for screenwriter. Screenwriter, you sit down with a guy. It's your third date. You really like this guy, and he says his mom has had 4 marriages. Now, he doesn't say nothing bad about the mom, but his mom has had 4 marriages. What are your thoughts, screenwriter, on your third date? How do you not care, or how do you care about that?
I care. I can't sit here and deny that I wouldn't be alarmed. I would be.
How so?
I mean, 4 marriages.
Wait. You are not going to insult King because this is a hypothetical. It has nothing to do with King.
Oh, no. I'm the one that's telling you that my mom was a predatory female, so I'm very comfortable with it. That's like someone, if your mom was a crack addict and you can't deny who you are. That's part of my story. That's part of my story.
Yeah.
Go ahead, screenwriter.
That's respectful because some people wouldn't tell you that. So that's a very respectful thing to tell the woman. I would be alarmed though, because it depends. If he doesn't say, he just admitted that she was predatory, so he could see the flaws in her ways. Some men you do talk to, they don't see the flaws in their own mother. In their own, even in parents, but in this conversation, their own mother. 4 marriages, that can't be all 4 men that she picked fault. I don't feel like.
Well, here's the question, screenwriter, and this is the relationship part of my thing. I'm going to cut this video up. But is that because many women want a relationship with the mom, and now they know, wow, this person evicts people out their life? Or is it because you feel it has some effect on this guy that you're having the third date with?
A little bit of both. Because who's to say that she won't try to evict you out of that man's life? No, for real. Who's to say that she's not going to become that way with you? Try to sabotage you and try to tell him that you're not good enough.
Can I interject a little bit of game here?
Go ahead.
Let's combine everything we're talking about and let's end off with his final statement. I don't assume anything about a woman. And I can only assume you've told a female that before. And so when you tell them that story and you say, I don't assume anything about a woman, I'm going to tell you how women play you. They're going to go in the exact opposite way. They're going to think that you're assuming something about them. They're going to think you're assuming that they're predatory too. I'm generalizing, not screenwriter in particular, but I'm generalizing. It's that direct.
I think it's fair, but if you're going to be open with a woman that's dealing with you, got to put it depends on what you want from her. If it's a woman that I just want to bang, I'm not going to tell her about my story, my family. But if it's a woman that I'm actually trying to build something with, she's going to have to know this because she's going to meet my mother and she's going to have to know that that's something that I've seen growing up. So what it means to me, it probably doesn't mean the same thing to her, but I'm going to tell that story. It's like if you have a father in prison and you're trying to get with a woman and you don't disclose that to her after like a certain amount of dates, and then you're with this woman and a year later you're like, my father killed someone, he in prison. I don't think that's fair to her. So for me, that's part of my legacy, that my mom has been married 4 times. And it is what it is. Like it don't mean anything.
Let me interject. We're gonna go screenwriter. Look, I totally understand what King is saying. It's better to be super honest about somebody moving. That way they know where all the cards and dominoes are. You want to have somebody that's a great spades player the way you a great spades player. So I totally understand and agree on that. It's better to be upfront and honest about those things. I got 2 more questions, but screenwriter, how did you feel about what Future and Sigma said?
No, I agree that Future's got a point with them assuming that you're going to assume that they're predatory as well. I mean, because our parents do have a huge effect on how we view the world.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
But I see what the other guy's saying. I would expect that he was honest. Don't get me wrong, but it would be alarming. Even if he didn't say predatory.
It's not the message is the delivery is what I was getting at. Be upfront and be honest. But when you put that declarative sentence at the end saying, but I don't assume anything about a woman.
Oh no. That was in response to Q.
That part he threw that in as an ad lib. That wasn't no part of his.
That wasn't part of what I was talking about the screenwriter. That was actually something that Q said, and he was asking me a question. I told him I don't assume anything about. I don't tell women that. That was a separate issue right there. But as far as my mom being predatory, that was something different. He asked me what question I wanted to ask a woman. I said that in general, I always go to each woman as a blank slate. I have my experiences, but I'm divorced. I've been married before already. So I know that's true. So I've had certain experiences, but that's my experience, but I give every woman that I meet, she got a blank slate with me. Because she's
okay. Here's another question. Because we got to move it along. So if nobody has a question for screenwriter doesn't have a question for the guys, then let me pose this here. Screenwriter, what if a guy does not get along with a woman's dog? Is that a no-go in the relationship?
I can't relate to that because I'm not crazy over dogs.
Well, I'm just saying, some women are crazy over their dogs. And as a person that writes movies, you know, as far as character development is concerned, some people have that personality trait. So if you were writing a character, lady, that has a dog, my question to you is, would that be a deal breaker in this movie?
It depends on the woman. It may be a deal breaker. And it also may be something she's willing to work around, depending on what you don't like about the dog. I mean, some people don't like them in the house. So, I mean, it may be something she's willing to work around. But like for instance, if she's had that dog for a while, she's less likely to be at the dog. I personally think. So I would
can I ask I asked that question so I can set the guys up with this question. Hold on before you guys ask that question. Here's why I heard that question first. Because I have one of my clients this happened to. So for Future and for King, you guys have both been married. If the lady's dog died, she knew the dog before she knew you. Now you're starting to see her real personality and you're not able to control it. Future, how do you handle it?
How do you handle it? You're going to have to start planning how you're going to separate when this thing goes left. You need to have that plan in place.
Oh man! So the first thing you start thinking about is what the parachute looks like.
Yeah, I didn't say jump ship. I'm just simply saying you need to at least start building a rescue boat.
King Sigma, how about you, man? How do you deal with? I mean, it's the dog has died, man, and now she's not as smooth and calm as she used to be. How do you deal with it, King?
The way I deal with this is that I think communication is definitely number one in relationships. That's the number one thing, is that you got to constantly working on your communication. And the second thing is that as a man, you should never let yourself fall off, no matter if it goes left or not. Meaning, I know a lot of my buddies who, when they get into a relationship, they got like 6-pack abs when they meet the girl. And then you see them like 3 or 4 years later, he done gained 50 pounds.
I will tell you, relationship weight, and that's how you know you happy as a dude.
Yeah, and that happens. So what happens to a lot of these dudes when the relationship goes left, a lot of them are unprepared. So for me, my thought is that you should always stay ready. Like that's why I use the word admire. At each level of my relationship, when I first meet her, after we've been together a year, after we get third year, whatever, she gotta have that admiration. I gotta say in her eye. So when I start seeing that twinkle in her eye go away, and I start seeing that admiration, then I start using futures plan. I'm already thinking about futures backup plan at that point, because if you're saying that the dog was an emotional thing for her to the point that helped keep the relationship in balance for her, and now he's about to become a different person, well, intuitively, I'm gonna see that twinkle leave her eye. Because you'll know when your relationship is at the last stage, you already know at least a year ahead of time. You know what I mean?
Hey,
because you're gonna see like a lot.
He presented the variable that the emotions were uncontrollable. The thing is, you can manage emotions, you can never control them. That's why I just jumped straight to the gun. If you have not been laying those eggs, you need to start laying those eggs. And it may take you an extra 10 years to stretch this thing out. But
all right.
Hey, you need to just go ahead
somebody had a question for screenwriter. Go ahead. This is the time.
I was gonna say to put the question that you asked us to screenwriter, as far as like what trait in a man is it that's unacceptable to her that she's just like, nah, I'm just gonna cancel this right away.
Screenwriter.
I personally found difficulty with you looking for me to one. It's between, I think, the leadership. I think if you look to me for leadership a little too much, like that.
A future mutual thing for a second, because I can hardly hear screenwriter.
All right, hold on a second.
See, now that you bring up such a good point, because that's been
no. Go ahead and let her finish. Go ahead and let her finish. What do you mean by that leadership?
It's certain things that men should lead on. Like I mean, I personally look at, a man being able to lead a woman in certain ways. It's like, I feel like as a man, as a woman, I should be able to improve with your leadership.
Oh, that's a good thought.
And vice versa. If I'm not improving, then to me, there's some sort of issue. Like I give you an example. I never told you this, but with the movie thing, I wasn't gonna do it. It was always something I thought about and dreamed about, but I was like, nah, I can't do it. And the guy I'm with now, he was like, he sparked that back up for me to even just try it.
There you go.
Like, so to me, that's a good example. Like,
he was like, girl, we gonna get this program. You gonna sit up here and practice.
Yeah. And I thank you for it.
Yeah, and the reason I say that that's interesting that she said that, because around these parts, it seems like that's exactly what a lot of the American black women reject. They reject the idea of a man leading them, and they want to lead. They want to be in control. So it's good to hear an American black woman say that she's actually comfortable.
Well, I will push back a little bit, Sigma, is that most women operate on fear. And most women have been taught by their mothers to be in overprotective mode 24/7. And they don't know what it feels like to have what screenwriter just described.
Okay.
Or if screenwriter described it, here comes some woman say it ain't gonna last.
Wow.
Because she's operating on fear.
Right.
One thing I try to do. I'm gonna let you in future. One thing I try to let people know on that Wolf channel is that a lot of women are not bad women. They just have to unlearn being divas. They have to unlearn being, because they're so scared that they want to be in control. That when a female is put in the position where all I have to do is lay back and purr and look cute, this is making me uncomfortable. I don't know if he gonna do right, because we don't have a culture, we don't have a set of traditions. So when a woman does unlearn that because she had a great brother or a great uncle or even a great dad, it's kind of like, oh no, I had a great uncle. I know men can be great. So she runs across one. She's like, shit, take the lead, daddy. I'm cool. You know, Future, what are your thoughts?
Whose grandmother knows how to make a dress?
Well, my mother knows how to make one.
Whose great grandmother knows how to make a dress? Your mother knows how to make a dress, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, there was a time where women had all day to do that. We no longer live in that era.
That's facts.
We have to. There's a sliding scale on this control thing. At the end of the day, nature is still going to take the score.
You getting a lot of echo. You got a lot of feedback.
I don't know why this thing is echoing. Yeah, you know,
like echoing.
All right, come back to me. I gotta find a place where this ain't gonna echo.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, because what Q said about the he brought up a point that I've definitely have added to my little list now, where he was mentioning how if the woman came from a 2-parent home and she had strong male role model. At this point in my life now, I'm finding that that's something that I think about now when I'm dealing with different women. Is like I ask them questions like that about, you know, what your relationship is with your father. I used to didn't care about that, but now I'm noticing that I do care about that now, because I'm seeing a difference in the kind of women that I meet from fatherless homes, or homes where they have a very bad relationship with their father, or he was absent, versus the girls that I talk to that really love their father and admire their fathers and respect men. I'm at the point now where that's important to me, so I actually do use that as
well. The reason for it is because again, some ladies are really going to be great for you, but again, this is why, unfortunately for me, many times I believe a lot of women are not ready until they turn 34, 36.
Wow.
Because they're listening to all these things from the diva sisterhood, the same way men used to listen to the brotherhood back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sometimes you don't want to be an abusive type of dude, but you're listening to the brotherhood, and the brotherhood's operating this way, and everybody operates that way. Well, the same thing is true for women. Sometimes they don't want to be part of the sisterhood, but this is the information they constantly get. So when they get to a relationship where this dude got a bump on his nose, but other than that, everything is great about this dude, she has to unlearn that diva stuff and say, I like the little bump on his nose. I play with it during sex. When we having sex, I make him feel real good about it. And because of that, he protects me even more. See, that's the type of stuff the diva independents hate. But it's the same thing with the dudes. The dudes don't want no dude to be happy. One of our MGTOW brothers left MGTOW, and now he's happily married 30 years. We are pissed. The brother finally found somebody, at least that, you know.
That's unfortunate. If what you say is true. If they're not figuring out until 36, then that's not good for the women, because most men that are like that age, if you're saying that they're figuring it out around 36, dudes that are 36 to 40 are probably looking for women that are like 25 on average, 25 to 30.
Oh no, not really. Most dudes who are older, and I think you can even ask Future.
Not in the USA.
Yeah, most dudes who are older don't want to waste time with immature young chicks. It's too much work. Way too much work.
So then, if that's true, then why are so many of these women that are in their 30s and 40s single and without a man? And if that's the case,
because once again, they have to unlearn. And when a chick is in her 30s and 40s, matter of fact, I'm going to do a couple of snippets on that show that Oprah put out, Ready for Love. A lot of women are so stuck in diva stuff, and they got the women around them. It's hard for them to unlearn being nice and sweet. The same thing is true for dudes. A lot of dudes are not ready at 30. It takes a lot of dudes up until 36 to be ready. But a lot of women are single because they're still looking at like this one lady on the show. Somebody cut her face years ago when she was a teenager, right? She still got that mark on her face. If it wasn't for the fact she was light skinned, you would probably see that cut, right? And she's insecure about the cut as it is, but you can barely see it,
right?
Because she's light skinned. Now, she is probably the most domineering person on the whole thing, but she don't start off that way. When somebody started giving her attention, then it was, I want what I want, when I want, how I want. Wow, really? Slow down, Mom. But guess what? He's at fault because he started doing that in the first place. I really like you and blah, blah, blah. So when you say a lot of women are single, they are single, but they don't start being the potential of marry until they get to that age because they have to get that independent theory out of their minds. That stuff doesn't work in a team. If me and you start a company and you know more than I do, hey, look, bro, I save you every time there's a business meeting.
You know what, Q? I have a question. Why is it?
Okay. We are going to come to you, screenwriter. Hold on, screenwriter. Go ahead, Future.
I had an interesting thought. What if we kept the girl around at 18 that we had then? You know, the one that wasn't that freaky, but she was pretty. All she needed was just instructions.
Right.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Right.
You know, she was boring. You know, she didn't like to go out to the club and smoke weed and, you know what I'm saying? The wow. She wasn't wild like the other one to the left.
Right.
All she needed was just me.
Right.
What if we kept that girl?
It's nothing wrong with keeping that girl, but once again, that girl, depending on her friend, which is why God tells you to leave and cleave. Even though that woman may start out that way. I've had women start off that way. But when you get the diva crowd get in their ear, or in my case, I didn't marry the woman I married because her mother was in her ear, and her mother was a lonely person. And her mother needed constant validation from her daughters.
I get that theory from because in a calendar year, I had 2 encounters. The first encounter was
hold on. Before you go to your encounter, I promise, screenwriter. Go ahead, screenwriter.
I was just gonna ask. I mean, that the teamwork aspect. I mean, if you look at just being in the African American community, that's never been something that's been, I won't say never, but that alone has been an issue with us in general, teamwork. So do you think that that's part of the issue is that everybody thinks to a certain extent that they're an individual?
Yes.
Yes.
I got mine. You need to get yours.
Yeah, that's the attitude. Get your money. And
the bag is not as important as the power. Which one is more important, screenwriter? Getting the deal at Disney with a lot of power and a little pay, or getting a deal at BET with a lot of pay and no power, but you got a lot of stuff to get done?
I'm always going to take the power and the little pay because the experience that you gain.
There you go.
Will put you in a position to build your own institution. So,
but with
the
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
And the power is, I mean, something with Disney media. You take over the media aspect, you can engineer the minds.
Well, here's why I say that. And we're gonna go back to Future and his two examples. But here's why I say that. You look at people who work at a place, they don't understand the power is to have more people who look like them at the job. You got people who will go and get a check, but won't even make a way for their own son and daughter to work at the same company. I had a person tell me, well, normally people don't like for family members to work at the company. Who said that? Where's the HR directive that says that? Oh, well, I don't know. That's just what I heard. I said, no, that's a black person myth. Black people believe that, Irish people don't. Russian people don't. Filipinos and Asians don't. That's why all of them are working at the same freaking company, because that's a black people myth. And so I answer your question like that. Let's get back to Future and his two examples.
This is one example of this Puerto Rican guy I met who said he met his wife. He was 19, she was 15, and this Iraqi man I met who tried when I was 27 tried to give me his 16-year-old daughter to take back to the States. And they both had this core philosophy of get them while they're young, and you can train them how you want. Again, now this is foreign cultures. Now one of them is an Eastern philosophy. So I don't mean to be so blunt, screenwriter. I don't mean to be so blunt. This is just the way it was presented to me. Me being a Westerner, and that's something that us African Americans also need to realize we cannot change about ourselves. From the root, we are governed by Western philosophy. We were raised and taught by it and educated by it. How do I synthesize that same idea? When I was younger, when I was with that teenager, I ain't had nothing. She didn't have nothing. There was, at that point, there was no poisoning of the diva. You had pop culture. Mm-hmm. But at that point in time, the game of life wasn't at stake at that time. What do you think? Should I have kept that girl? When I was 20 and she was 19, 18, should I have kept that girl?
Well, there's a lot of people who did keep that girl, and I would say 30 or 40% of them came out good. The other 70, 60 still end up splitting because it was too young.
I kept my high school sweetheart.
Yeah, but a lot of them came out decently good. Because that was the era of marrying your high school sweetheart. That was the area of the girl being able to proudly say that to everybody at her reunion. I married the nerd up in school B. Remember Tony with the glasses?
Marty McFly.
The thing about what Future was saying about the woman in that situation is that, where's the echo coming from?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Damn, what is it? Okay. The thing is, though, you change. Some people change between the age of 19 and 25 and 32. Because I know for me, the man that I was at 18 and that I was by 25 was not the same man. And so, because everything happens within the context of culture. And if you're talking about the American culture, the opportunities and the situation that you're dealing with in a relationship in America versus if you were to have that woman over there in that Eastern culture is going to be much different, because those have strong patriarchies. You don't have the third wave, fourth wave feminism. You don't have so much stuff that's armed against you as a man, and that's put in, like, Q mentioned the diva culture. I don't know if there's any place on earth that has a stronger diva culture in general than America. So you're dealing with that woman who is 18, and when you're 19 and y'all are living in the Western culture, and you're going to have a lot of influence. And on you.
Well, Israel has a big diva culture. Israel has a diva culture, and Israel has a huge gay culture. So
why do those two things go hand in hand so often? Why is that?
Who?
Why does it seem like those two ideas and those behaviors go hand in hand?
Because they're feminine behaviors. They're One is feminine dominant, one is feminine submissive. So you have a male that's in a submissive state to be with a woman or be with a guy. You got a male that's in the feminine state to be a bottom. You have a woman who's in a natural feminine state where she is quote unquote a soft lesbian. She goes either way. And then you have a feminine who's empowered. So all of those are feminine, whereas in the straight people have to deal with one paradox, which is penis, vagina, make the baby. Other people don't have to deal with them things.
Because it seemed like there's. I'm glad you put it in a good, simple way, because it just seemed like I'm noticing that there's like this alliance between feminists and homosexuals.
It's an alliance on the surface, but underneath it's just like it's cute described as feminine energy. Feminine energy
they will abandon homosexuals like it's nothing.
Exactly, because it's an imbalance. When masculine and feminine energy is not in balance, you'll have a tilt one way or the other.
Then why are they so loudly pronouncing homophobia or transphobia?
Because it is a temporary victory against the male female togetherness. You got to understand, we're constantly at war, from the boardroom to our child care centers. We're constantly at war, and if you're not trying to get a leg up, then it's 48 laws of power. Somebody's trying to use you so that they can get a leg up. So what happens with the gay community a lot of times is they realize very late, sometimes 5-10 years later, that they were being used. If you notice now that Obama helped them out somewhat, gay white people have now separated themselves from gay black people to the point where gay black people for the first time are noticing some form of racism. Gay white dudes don't want to date them. Nope. So now that's a shock to them. Well, it's like I told a couple of my gay clients. I said, you've been used and you don't realize it. All the time you've been championed for gayness, that hasn't been their thoughts. It's the same thing I said about MGTOW. The minute you start having some of these MGTOW guys using a MGTOW platform that says MGTOW and started making anti-black male comments or videos, you as a black MGTOW should not be coming to my video defending that racist MGTOW.
Yeah, I was glad you made that video. I saw that.
Hold on. I think screenwriter want to say something. She unmuted. Go ahead, screenwriter.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Sigma.
Yeah, I was saying like. Go ahead, screenwriter. Go ahead. That was something that needed to be said about how there is that racism amongst those MGTOWs. And I have noticed, like I said, if you don't have ethics and someone in your echo chamber does something that's unethical, if you're an ethical person with integrity, then you have to hold them to the same standards that you will hold a stranger. And what I've seen, because I did go to a couple of those MGTOW channels and I listened to them, and I noticed that it's a lot of racism that goes on, especially in the comment sections. They love thinking about black men and talking about nigga this, nigga that. And I just never understood how black guys associate themselves with a movement that has been infected with white nationalist sentiments. And they really
not only associate, will defend these white guys.
Because it's the same thing that you said before. They believe that their only access to capital is through these men. And so they're willing to take their 40 lashes and their 40 shekels of silver in order to achieve that, because they don't believe in themselves. They're not looking as a collective. We don't look from within ourselves, within our own community, to create these opportunities, this leverage of power for ourselves. A lot of our power is in the intangible things. We say, oh, we always play basketball and entertainment, But if you really think about it, we got millionaires that are out there playing games and acting in a movie. They're not out here doing no hard work, making millions of dollars. We're not even leveraging that, because we're not looking from within ourselves.
You know what? To Future's point, let me ask screenwriter this question. Screenwriter.
Yeah.
Where is the Black Screenwriters Union?
If I would know, if there's one,
Wait. I'm proving the point. Screenwriter. Where is the Black Female Screenwriters Guild? Where is the software created by a Black person for screenwriters? So I say that I use her as an example because I say this all the time as far as a Black solution is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a Black police officer sitting on YouTube all day who will champion, hey, we got the Black Police Union and we looking to bring brothers in. We will give you a pre-workout so you know what the physical expectations are. We will give you a test, all for $39.99. Ain't nobody doing it because I got mine. You need to get yours. Where is the guy? Look at Sub-Zero on YouTube. At least he gives back and has a class teaching you about SQL.
Yeah.
So this is the sad part about Future's point. You got people in place. You even got people in place with money. But are they creating things that say, hey, look, I'm going to pull you, screenwriter, in ahead of all these Jewish people who are getting help from their people, and ahead of all these Latin people who are getting help from their people? I'm going to pull you in. No, we don't do that. Instead, we let everybody fend for themselves. And the minute screenwriter make it, then we flood her with 1,000 emails.
Do you think there's a parallel? Do you think there's a parallel between the breakdown in American Black family and this tendency to think in individualistic terms? Is there a parallel, a correlation there?
Future society of gentlemen.
No, I don't think so, because the rugged individualism is a fundamental American trait.
But if it's a fundamental trait, then why are other groups having no problem doing what Q is saying?
Well, let's just start with the dominant society. From the very root, this society was created by them and for them. Other groups of people have let's take the Chinese, for instance. They have a nation. They have a single identity in the nation to depend on. I'll use another example. I think there was an incident with a Sudanese boy in the United States. I think he was harassed by the police or something like that. And you know how Barack Obama, he never really came out against how police officers were killing all of these young black teenagers around the country. But he went out of his way to speak about the police incident with the Sudanese boy. Why? Because he has to deal with the country of Sudan and the country of South Sudan.
I think you're talking about the Middle Eastern guy, little kid from Texas that they say had a bomb in his project.
Yes, in his backpack, exactly.
Yeah, he was Middle Eastern.
Right. They have a nation, a single identity to leverage behind. African Americans, and specifically African Americans, descendants of slavery in the United States, not the Caribbean. You know, sometimes we say descendants of slavery and Americans, we forget that all of this is America, not just the United States, but specifically African American descendants of slavery in the United States, specifically us. We're a combination of all of the nations of Africa and native tribes over here, all in one. We don't have one single identity. We don't have one landmass, nothing to leverage on. We don't have a diplomat. We have a lack of sovereignty. We have semi-autonomy. We have a lack of sovereignty. The only leverage we have to depend on is the American government. The government of the United States. Who's in control of that government?
So here's where I slightly disagree with Future. I believe that the individualism has turned into a poison. I believe that we pit light skins against dark skins, females against males. But when the true enemy turns around and gets us, then we realize at that moment, wait a minute, I'm not seen as just a female. Wait a minute, I'm not seen as just a dark skinned person. Wait a minute, I'm not seen as a person who is LeBron James. These people actually see me as less than human. So I just personally believe that individualism thing has not helped us, will not help us. And the best thing we can do, even if I hate screenwriter, is to keep my mouth closed and not say nothing about it. Just go and remove myself from screenwriter, not spend my time to publicly say anything about it. Like I will tell you, you will not find one Indian or Pakistani who likes Bobby Jindal in Louisiana, but they will not publicly say nothing about him.
What I was simply saying is, I was answering the question in a way. I agree with everything you're saying, Q. What I was answering the question in a way is, I took it as he was asking me, well, why is it we're not unified? Why is it we don't work together? And part of that is the trickle down effect of rugged individualism, without realizing that it's almost, just think about this as a computer. A computer, you know, as the hardware. Think of the United States as the hardware. But the software that runs it, the programs that run it, think of each individual white person as an individual program. They're able to run free because this operating system was built for them. Do you get what I'm coming from that context? African Americans are like a floppy disk that was inserted into the computer, but you're not a fundamental part of the hard drive, of the permanent memory of this system.
Screenwriter, what do you feel about individualism, or what King Sigma said?
So what I got from King Sigma was, I think he was kind of alluding to the fact that the strong family structure, the breakdown of that is has led to the individualism. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah, I was just asking the question if people see that there's a correlation between the breakdown over the last 60 years and this individualism being like a effect of that. Because to me, it seems like the individualism is an effect of the breakdown of the Black family, because the family is the foundational level of the community. So when the individual families start breaking down, eventually those communities go to shit. So the few individuals that can escape those shitty environments, they were an effect of those shitty environments, and that's why they go on to the more individualistic path, because they saw a breakdown in their families, in their friends' families, and in their communities. And we can look over the last 60 years of Black American history and see a breakdown, whereas the marriage rate was like 85%, 86% in 1965. Now it's like less than 30%, and it's shrinking by the day. It's going down and down. The family and it's like the marriage and intact families are shrinking in the Black America, while the fatherless homes are increasing. We're gonna hit 80% in 2020, and I'm trying to figure out, what does that really mean? What does it mean that in 2020, 80% of all American Black children will be in fatherless homes, considering all the data that we have on the impact on children growing up in fatherless homes? It's horrible, the data that we have. 90% of rapists come from fatherless homes. 76 or 80% of all prisoners come from fatherless homes. We can just go on and on. Everyone knows the data. And what I'm saying is that breakdown in the relationship between Black men and Black women and the Black family correlate is the cause of the individualism for those Blacks, that a lot of Black people, because a lot of them come from those environments.
Let her answer, and then let Future come back again. Go ahead, screenwriter.
In terms of individualism, I don't think there's a correlation. I mean, it's an issue, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's because you could still be very individualistic minded and have a family. I mean, like Q just gave an example. Where's the screenwriter union for females? it's a female that could be married to a man and all that in the family, and be like, "Well, I got mine. I got a husband. Well, I mean, what's their need for me to help the sisterhood? Vice versa, you know. I guess with the brotherhood. I mean, you can still have an individualistic mindset and have a family in a way. You can still have a family. You can, I guess, that person would have a family mindset, but no sense of nationhood. They don't feel obligated to other people within their community, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. That's a fair assessment.
Because I think, I mean, that's real common. I mean, I don't. I mean, the families I do see, I don't see them getting with other families to do certain things. Okay. I don't. I mean, so that's still having a mindset that's individualistic in a way. I got my family. You're fine.
So there's no sense of collectivism, is what you're saying. Like, there's no sense of collective responsibility or obligation. I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my family. Everyone else is on their own, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, even if you bring up children, I mean, how many people do you really see talk about the best interest of children?
Barely any.
I mean, it's just about. I mean, I'm not saying that relationships aren't important, but you don't hear nobody talking about the kids like that. Black boys, especially. I can admit that.
They only talk about putting them in dresses these days.
Yeah.
That's the biggest argument I'm seeing for when it comes to children. All I hear is like they want to put the argument is just about should we put little boys in dresses or not. That's all I ever hear them talking about now.
Well, see, that's why on my channel I really tell people it seems like I'm the only one who talks about the effect of black sons, because it's hard to sit up here and not indoctrinate a black son with if you're an educated person, you're an educated parent, but your black son is barely graduating. That
makes no sense.
You're an educated parent and you don't have 20 G's saved away for your black son's college. You got all these nice clothes and nice shoes on, but you as a parent don't have your child with their own house by the age of 30. Then there's something wrong.
Yeah, and to add to his point, I mean, you could go back to the other end of that. You don't ever hear anybody talking about parenthood. How can you be a better parent? Just set your kids up in the right position.
You guys are talking about cultural capital and capital. That is definitely something that has definitely not happened for a lot of blacks. They're not leaving any sort of capital, and they're calling themselves educated and successful, and they're not leaving any capital to their children.
Well, I will do a little pushback. When I saw John Gray go ahead, Future. Go ahead, Future.
I was just going to say, because they're just not experiencing having that sort of financial success as a group, as a collective, in larger numbers. This class of African Americans is the most educated, most well financed, highest incomes, most well informed in American history. Yet we're still talking about the same problems from 100, 150 years ago.
But a lot of that wealth was lost since 2008, though. We have to understand that a lot of the wealth of the black middle class was lost over the last years. That's been noted
as a result of the lost wealth of the larger dominant society. Because you're still feeding from that underbelly.
A lot of the American black middle class wealth was on paper only. They had a lot of paper wealth, and a lot of them lost their wealth. A lot of them are underwater when you look at the stats. Since 2008, the black middle class got decimated because they didn't really have multiple streams of income. They had that job income, and they had the asset of a home mortgage, and that was really it. And since 2008,
most African Americans are very financially and economically illiterate. That again, that is slowly changing. That is again for the younger generation to learn from those mistakes and grow from it. Those generations, all of that lost wealth were people who were just allowed to enter the American job sector fully and wholly in the 70s.
Right.
And they held on to that job. They everything was job income or
governmental job income, and they're just
Well, let me talk another part of losing black wealth. It's an uncomfortable situation because everybody loves children, but sometimes when we're in mixed families, sometimes it is whoever the black person is. It is their responsibility to teach their child about blackness. Because what's very unfortunate is sometimes when we have biracial children or bicultural children, let me put it that way, and the blackness gets lost. Then that child goes to marry somebody else that's pure German, and now they don't even know that they had a black grandfather, black grandmother. That's Grace Jones. That's Eartha Kitt. That's and so on and so on. You know what I'm saying? That's the unfortunate thing. How a lot of wealth gets lost too. You get these great grandkids who's like, "Huh? I'm part black. What? all these Klan marches I've been going to." You know? Hey, screenwriter, we need to actually do a funny thing like that where we write about somebody who discovered they were black after they went to quite a few Klan marches.
Yeah, we need to do that because
I mean, yeah.
How about the phenomenon of she was with me when I was broke? I think O'Shea did a podcast on this the other day.
Okay.
My thoughts on that is, for most, not all, but for most, I think that's a convenient excuse.
Now, when you said what?
She was with me when I was broke. In other words, I stuck with this white woman because she discovered me when I was broke, and she rolled it out with me.
I mean, it happened. That's one of the things that I've heard out the mouth of the dude that played Luke Cage, Amari Haraway from Power, and Michael B. Jordan. Those are three black men that have kind of said that's exactly what they said happened to them.
Right.
Well. Let me do some back thing on that. Future, I'm gonna let you finish. Let me do some back thing on that. What a lot of black guys don't realize is some of the non-black. You know what? Matter of fact, let's start off with the women. What some of the women don't realize when they deal with a Bill DeBrad is that Bill DeBrad is not necessarily wanted in the white community.
True.
Okay.
Facts.
Nope.
And just like Aisha Taylor, once I've given you the pink snake for a couple of years, maybe 14 years, I, as a white man who is the number one divorcing person out of all of the Department of Justice, I might have 4 marriages within my lifetime.
Yeah.
I will sit up here and start over with no problem. And just like what happened with Aisha Taylor, you know, it's time for me to break north. I'm good. I'm done.
You walked away with a nice.
And the same thing is true with the dudes. Sometimes the dudes gets a round faced Asian girl, and he don't know that the round faced girls are considered uglier than the triangle faced girls. But he's happy and overjoyed that he's got a girl, or maybe he done got a girl from Sweden, and he doesn't realize that they just stopped letting Swedish women sleep with dogs in 2013. It becomes illegal now. So now, of course, you as a black person, you look kind of sexy because you built like a horse and you're actual human. So since I'm going to go to jail for actually sleeping with an animal, here you are, you look like a beastie. So it's all to the good. Go ahead, Future.
I was just going to he killed me with that one. I was just going to say that, you know, what's so rhetorical about that is our brothers acting like sisters are not with brothers that are broke, that have nothing, that are struggling.
Well, I think I think it's listening to
in reality, it's just by chance. It's really just a thing by chance, and you just found a woman who was down and submissive, and it was some chemistry there, and you just wrote it out with her. But she was down with me when I didn't have anything. that's not an answer to the question. When someone directly asks you, "But why did you marry this white lady?" I don't think that's an appropriate answer.
I think it's an appropriate.
That's like saying a black woman ain't gonna ride or die. I mean, how many black women are with broke brothers right now?
Well, I think that one of the things that you might be glossing over is the fact that if you listen to a lot of the black men that do make those arguments, because we listen to a lot of these people in the manosphere, one of the things they also say is that those black women that are with broke guys, they're only selecting from a very small pool. And one of the relationship experts that deals with black women, her name is Rebecca L. Pope. She did a lot of videos on that last year, and I looked through them, and she was talking about the standards of American black women is much higher as far as like what they choose for in a mate than other races of women that she's dealt with. And she said that it got to the point where she just stopped taking, she's a black woman, and she stopped taking American black women as clients because of their standards were too high. She said she would connect them with men that had the qualities that they said they were looking for, but then they would have a whole list of 10 other qualities that they were looking for that they didn't even have. So I think that one of the complaints that men that do make that argument make is that the black American women that they had contact with, for whatever reason, if they were dealing with a poor black man, it was only a certain type of poor black man. So I think I can't take away another man's experience. If that's what they experience, that's what they experience. That hasn't been my experience.
Now I will back up and say this. I started in 2010.
Can't hear you, Q.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hello?
I hear you now. Yeah, we can hear you now.
I had a company in 2010 where I put the affluent black man with the affluent black woman.
Okay.
And the same problem happened. Some of our ladies, our black ladies, felt that they were too good for some of the men that were there. Some of our black ladies would not even go so much as to get out of the couch to mingle around with some of the guys. It was a he needs to come to me mentality. But yet these are the same women saying they can't find dudes. So to that point, yeah, I've seen it like that. But I will agree with Future. I think sometimes we as men get caught up in what me and Sigma was talking earlier, which is hate porn. So yeah, I'm going to come to screenwriter with this. Me and Sigma, and then Future, you get it afterward. Me and Sigma was talking about this early in the show, and we're going to start winding the show down. But me and Sigma was talking about how a lot of men and women, but men specifically, tune into YouTube just to hate. And that a lot of these guys and women seem like they get a sexual turn on from hating the other gender, to the point where it's not even logical no more. Like if you say, hey, since you don't like black people, why don't you just go move to Wyoming? Well, here come a bunch of excuses, screenwriter. Or if we say to the women, okay, I understand you don't like black men, but you've been looking for this white guy for 8 years. Why don't you talk about the joy of a white guy instead of talking about black dudes every week? What are your thoughts, screenwriter?
I think, and I'm gonna say this just over at tuning into YouTube for the past couple of weeks. I personally feel that there is an element that people don't want to admit where they have to say that they like drama. I mean, if you just own it, I mean, you could work on it. But I mean, I used to watch Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I can admit it. I used to, when I was 16, I watched it. And looking at some channels, there's not a difference. There's not. I mean, and if you like that, you have to admit that you into that. You like that element. I mean, personally, me, I get tired of seeing it. I mean, after a while, it's like, okay, it's entertaining for a minute, but after a while, you're like, okay, this is not part of my life. Like, how's this bettering me? and you'll be like, this is not helping me out at all. So I do think
how dare you not like hate porn?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if there's no solution,
someone got to mute their channel.
Somebody is burning the bacon. Hello?
Hey,
yeah,
can
I
you hear
don't know
me?
what that was. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Wow.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying that.
Okay, that was probably at his job.
Oh, okay.
I'm not into that anymore. Like, I'm just not.
Yeah, I never got into the hate porn stuff. I think people take it to the point where it's definitely like it's a sexual energy being transferred to hate. That's what I think is going on.
Really?
Oh yeah, this is just my own assessment. I think that
in its extreme form, yes. In its extreme, but not for the majority of people. But you're right. But in its extreme.
Yeah, in its extreme form, I think it takes on like a sexual repression that's being released through the
Well, here's why we say that, screenwriter, because some people cannot articulate why they are inconsistent. And when you cannot articulate on why you're inconsistent, it must be some type of fetish for you at this point.
That's what I'm saying right there.
Because if you're talking about swirling for women, you've been talking about it for maybe 2-3 years. You've had 4 or 8 white boyfriends, but you're still not married. Yet, every week, you're talking about how you're glad you don't deal with black men no more.
I mean,
that's strange.
Or you wear a Teutonic helmet and you come up with the economic statistics as to why you should never marry a black woman.
Right. Yeah. You got a helmet on your head and you say, okay, you shouldn't deal with straggle-daggle. Okay, that's your right. I'm not mad at you. But can you stop showing the porno pictures of somebody who just happened to be on vacation and took a picture with a Polish person as if they're dating?
Yeah.
Can you stop showing the African guy who's over in Russia who happens to be dating some girl that he dated for maybe 2 months? I mean, this isn't like it's a major achievement. And then the question I'll say to all of you, well, even if you get with a white chick, that don't mean you won. That don't mean you ain't gonna be Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan crying right now.
And that's what I mean when I use the term hate porn, because it's like the pedestalizing of another race on like almost on a spiritual level, just because of the color of their skin. I think it's disgusting. It's sickening to me. And it gets to a point where, for me personally, I just stopped tuning in to a lot of the stuff where people talk about American black women in particular, because my whole thing about it is that why don't you remove yourself from those women? Like the American black woman that fits that profile of the daggle, or you say that she's like low brow, I'm not interested in her anyways. I'm not interested in her.
Wait, I'm going to make you guys laugh.
What is life without drama?
I'm going to make you guys laugh real quick. So somebody contacted my channel and was trying to talk about when I said, why don't you just fly to where these chicks are at? Yeah. And I got a flight to Minnesota, $25, right? Yeah. Because I get these specials from Frontier. Mm-hmm. And one of my flights was $25. And said somebody saw me coming from Miami and they said, don't look like you in first class. I said, dude, wow, that is a 6 to 8 hour, a 6-hour flight. I got both of these back seats for the same price I would have got the first class, and I get to lay down and go to sleep.
Wow.
I can tell. I said to him, I can tell you don't fly a lot, and you don't know the difference between a deal and just looking good in first class.
Well, you had me cracking up when you told that story earlier about the janitor YouTuber. That shit was funny to me, man.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. So, so I was saying to you guys, I was saying to people. So I've been around for a while, screenwriter. I've been around since 2007. We got a popular person who's a janitor.
Wow.
On YouTube. And this is why I said people got to be real leery about the people they hear, not because I'm trying to be right. It's just that a lot of these people have not dominated their own lives.
Right.
We got another popular person who's a barber. Do they own the barber shop? No.
Do they own the chair?
They rent a chair.
Because a lot of barbershops, they just rent the chair. So
right. We got another brother who is a activist in his community. I give him that, and he's a former special person. So I give him credit on that. But we got another guy who he's no longer on YouTube, but he got busted for raping a 13-year-old girl when he was 20. He did like 5 years or something like that. Yet he was always up here talking about black women 24/7. So we got people with actual issues sometimes.
Yeah, I don't really get that whole part about
drama is what they deal with mental illness.
Black woman obsession, like, because I've always been in environments where I had access to women of all ethnicities, and most of the black women I grew up with were actually African. So I always had access to a variety of ethnic groups. And well,
everybody ain't a pimp, Sigma. Hold on for a minute. Future, what was you saying?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Future, what did you say?
No, I was just saying that what is life without drama?
Yeah, some people don't have a life. Yeah.
But no, honestly though, if there was no drama, but you would not know peace if there was no what? Drama.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. You would, hey, look, you would be like Eve, saying, you know what? I ain't gonna listen to old God. I'm gonna pick this apple.
Thank you. You know,
I'm tired of playing with these lions and all these animals getting along.
You know how boring that would be?
Hey,
I guess make life interesting.
Call me boring because I like peace. I'll take the peace, and I'll just let everybody else have the drama. I'll take
the thing is, man, I learned this in the teaching. That hoe had to walk that path so that your daughter wouldn't be no hoe.
Yeah.
Somebody had to.
Look at Maya Angelou.
Somebody had to be that crackhead. Somebody had to be that infant that died. Somebody had to be that person that got a prostitute. Oh yeah, she was. But she's the queen of. She is the probably the soul of black folk now.
Yeah.
She had like 4 husbands.
Wasn't all her husbands white?
Credit. She did marry a couple of powerful African dudes, though. I give her credit for that.
I thought all her husbands were white.
No, I think she got one white.
No, brother. No. This is the thing. Maya Angelou went left sometime in the 70s. Back in the 60s, we had a very strong global pro-African unity movement. She married a powerful African man. Look at this on Wikipedia. You can look it up.
But you know what? This goes to Future's point about sometimes the more, and maybe screenwriters' point too. Sometimes the brothers who are better leaders got to come to the forefront and say, "Hey, lady, come and get under this covering." You know, you are. You know, it's kind of like how I feel about Monique's husband. He's a little bit too messy.
You shouldn't be leaving her.
It's like, you know, whether she right or not, Monique, come under this cover, chill out. Same way I feel about
I think he has to let her blow steam though. I think he has to let her blow steam a little bit. She's like a whale. She has to come up for air.
That's not a fair comparison, brother. That's not fair for you to do that. That's wrong.
Well, no, hold up. I'm not. No pun intended. No pun intended. I think again, it's back to that control thing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes he has to let her blow steam. Sometimes he has to let her flap a little bit. What has she said in the past few months? Have you heard Monique out there? She has to blow.
No.
He has to allow her. He has to let that rope loose a little bit so that she don't lose her mind under his leadership.
Well, I think there's
the
more.
number one thing is, I don't care if it's Pookie, Ray Ray. We keep saying, well, why are women attracted to hood dudes and this, that, and the other? I have an overall theory. I think women are attracted to superheroes.
Because I don't agree with that assessment, though. I don't think I've never once asked that question. When I hear dudes ask that question, I just scratch my head. I think women are attracted to all kind of men.
I think they're attracted to their hero. I think they're attracted to what they consider is their hero.
Women by nature, not all, but women by nature want some form of control so they don't have to fear. But women by nature would prefer at some point to their life to say they had a champion protector. It is hard for some women to listen because they've been indoctrinated with the diva independent thing. But most women don't want to fight. Most women want to sit and purr, put pearls on, and look and focus on looking cute and the garden and her house and whatever profession she chooses. It takes my thing is it takes a woman a while to unlearn. The same way with dudes. Dudes want to be clowns, be overly impressed with how good they fuck and fight. But as they get older and the dick don't work the way it used to, as they get older and maybe he gets hurt out there boxing. Now he gets to realize, you know what? I had my time in the sun. I feel good. Let me just, enjoy this ride into the sunset. And that's how it is. I think it's harder for ladies to get sometimes because, even when I look at ladies put makeup on, I've dated some women who I would tell them, when you with me, don't wear that makeup. And they're thrown off like, huh? Right. I like the way you look without that makeup. I like to fuck you harder without that makeup. And it's like a breath of fresh air for them. Like, oh shit, that's what I've been waiting for. Thank you.
Right. I've told women as well. I don't like when women wear too much makeup, and I've told so many women that one, I don't like when she hugs me and my shirt get all this fucking clown makeup on it. But a lot of women don't understand that like sometimes less is more. And like getting the right tone for your skin. You don't got to put all that makeup on it.
Well, they don't know the same way we don't know the power of a tie. I remember the first time my ex-fiance tied the tie for me. I was a hip-hop hood dude. I wasn't doing no ties, but this chick tied a tie for me to somewhere, a blue navy suit with invisible stripes.
Mm-hmm.
Man, everybody in this hospital went ape shit. I didn't know the power of that shit. So we dudes are subject just like they are,
So why
we're gonna go down the road with final thoughts. We're gonna go down the road with final thoughts, and we're gonna start letting some of you guys go. This has been a great, polite panel. Thank you very much. I'm glad I got you intellectual people to rely on, so I don't have to invite none of these crazy motherfuckers. King Sigma, how did you feel about the show, man?
Oh, I enjoyed the conversation. It was very chill, very civil. I think the topic is something that's going to continue being talked about into perpetuity. I think that this so-called gender war, I don't see anything changing. I don't see any progress being made. I just think it's going to be ongoing. But I think that those that are actually trying to find solutions in their life, those that are trying to solve problems, they're going to break off into their own thing, and the other people are just going to continue going at each other's throats, making no progress. I just think that's where we're at. So I'm happy to listen in, and mostly I find out what I don't want to do and what I'm not looking for. So that's one of the great things about these conversations, to find out what I don't want to be a part of.
Well, I'm glad you got to get some information from the classy All-Stars. Thank you very much, sir. We're going to let you bow out. Future Society of Gentlemen, sir, what is your final thoughts?
My final thought is that the intellectuals do not need to concern themselves with cannon fodder. What is cannon fodder? Well, in the military sense, cannon fodder are the people who I send in the front line to run in front so I'll know where the cannons are. They're going to get bombed by the cannons first so I'll know where to send my elite soldiers. Let's not get bogged down by the cannon fodder, the throwaways, the people who already have a predetermined path to destruction. Let's worry about the elite.
All right, sir. I will check with you another time. You have a great one, sir.
You too now. Be safe.
Screenwriter, you have the last say. How did you feel about everything you heard and participated with today?
I think it was a very good panel. It's definitely good to get some more, learn some more from classes. Huh? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, you got to speak up, screen.
I was saying that I think the panel was great. I think it definitely was a chance to learn different things from different, classy type of men. As far as, the situation you're talking about, I think it's a really interesting fight for the minds of the youth. Because you have one section of people telling them one thing and one section of people telling them another. And the question comes, okay, who do I follow? And I think that's a very interesting paradigm. And I think...
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that we have so many people talking and not enough people dominating their sector of the world.
Yeah.
And once you find out that a lot of people talking ain't even in control of their own stuff. I'll give you a perfect example. I spoke about Tommy Sotomayor, and I told somebody, I said, well, he does live out of his car. And they said to me, no, he got a house. I said, no, he's renting that. He said, but he got money. I said, no, listen. Every white person or Asian person owns a mansion in the middle of nowhere. That's 2 hours away from a grocery store. So it's natural that they would rent that out to Tommy or anybody willing to pay, because you got to have somebody who, you got to have it make money or something.
Yeah.
But when you have a person like that who isn't really doing nothing in life, if YouTube was to go away tomorrow, not everybody's going to follow him to his website. The same way that when Bill O'Reilly left Fox, not everybody followed Bill O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's to say that. My last question is, when we do have these hangouts, do you feel like you get a chance to speak?
Oh yeah. It's cool. I'm not one to really concern myself with having to be the one dominating anything.
Yeah,
I'm fine with listening. So I'm fine with it.
What software did you get for your screenwriting? I think you didn't have one last time.
I still don't actually. I'm trying to work my way up into that. My partner was suggesting, he was like, why don't you write a book and then go from there? Because he was like,
well, you should be able to download one of the ones everybody uses.
Yeah, I know what it is. I got to get my money right before I do that though first.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah,
I'm still kind of trying to get into the whole creative process. I don't mind writing, books as well. I can do both, but yeah, I'm trying to
write an ebook.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like do something like that.
Well, how about this? I'm gonna put this out here because I need a writer. How well do you write?
I write pretty good.
Okay, I'm going to send you a news article. Okay. And see if you can research the news article and rework it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pay you a little something for that time, but I'm going to see if maybe you can become a writer. So So I will email you a news article. You might have to investigate better than this person investigated, because that's my problem with the article. The article has no. In other words, I don't like when news people make statements like they making a speech about something.
Yeah.
But they don't have any information about who said what the person's name is, you know.
Sources.
Huh?
Resources. Sources.
Force it?
Sources. Like, you know, where'd you get the information?
Yeah, they don't have nothing. And it kind of comes off like they making a speech. Recently, this one woman, that's the one I think I'm going to send you. Vanessa Williams said black men did not vote for the black lady in Georgia. Why would you say that? Huh?
That's not true.
Yeah, and even if it was true, which I think they have some voting machine said that 8% was black guys who voted for it. That's not nothing to make a whole article about.
No, it's not.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'll send you something. Let me go ahead and knock the show off. Thank you so much, screenwriter. You have a great one, and look for that email, all right?
All right, thanks.
All right, deuces.